You been fucking with that Akai right there?
Yeah. This was what getting this stupid little piece of gear is what made me make that rap album. Because I was like, oh, I got to make some hip hop beats now that I got this.
Because you have it, yeah. Thing. What the fuck else are you gonna do with it? Well, you get sample on it, but yeah, it's not the same. Yeah. Those things are fun though, man. I like those things.
Yeah, cool. My buddy's got the big one, dude.
Like the actual MPC.
Yeah, that's like it's like the core of his studio. He's the guy that I do the industrial shit with. He was on a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
Mike Nolan, shout out.
Yeah.
He loves that thing. He's always like the MPC. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. To each their own. Whoever's tools, you know. I mean, because that shit is like a whole like learning an instrument. Like you literally have to all the little tricks and the knobs and the way it samples, and you got to find the samples and cut them up and put them on the pads. It's like a whole thing within itself. Bro.
He uses it like he syncs his whole clock and everything through it on his like. He's not even like syncing to the DAW. He's like syncing everything through that because he's running all that outboard synth geared.
Oh, so it's a lot of MIDI shit going in and out, and then he just uses that as a MIDI trigger.
He's got all the synths and shit, so he's running everything like through that as a way to sync through that or something like that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Whatever he's doing. Shit. Yeah,
I don't have the patience for all of that. I want to write organic music still. Like that seems to be too much work for me. I want to just put a mic on an amp and let it rip. I can at least play to a metronome.
That too.
I mean, so that's where a lot of the fun gets taken away. If I don't have other people to collaborate with, then just sitting there and trying to come up with my own beats is more work than I want to put into.
You're not high enough.
Or maybe too high.
I'm certainly not a good enough percussionist, so...
there's something with that too. I mean, you gotta kind of have a feel for that.
For me.
It helps for sure, but I mean, also the computer does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So I mean, you punch it in and then
we were just talking about that on the ride up here.
Dump everything to the fucking click track, you know, and
move the shit if it ain't on or whatever too. Yeah. Like if you're just programming to work on your own shit or whatever, it's fucking.
I hear so many records now, fucking metal records, that the drums are just all fucking 100% programmed, and I'm guilty of that too. I mean, we were doing that back in the day.
But they sound so good now. It's just like, dude, music's just music now.
Yeah,
it's just like there's all this shit you can nitpick it. At the end of the day, it's all music. And just because you don't like it or you don't think it sounds good, someone will. Someone might not.
Times are changing, boys. Back in my day,
well, I don't know. I just think music's so weird now because it's like so many people do it, and it's got like this such weird value on it. So like, if you're gonna do it, like you should just do something to really try to stand out, or do something that speaks to you, whether it stands out or not. I guess that's one thing or the other, but. Like, you can't really get caught up in that, like, oh, it sounds like this or that or whatever, because, like, everything's taken from everything. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Just
like,
do your thing, man.
What's that quote about art, like, fucking good artists steal or whatever it is? I don't know.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
You know what I'm talking
about?
Yes, like,
I do, yeah.
So it's like, or some of the best artists steal or some shit like that. Yeah, I know I'm butchering it, but... everything is inspired by something, you know what I mean? Like,
at this point, what hasn't been done, right? Like, you can tweak and modify
shit. And then like there's shit that shouldn't be done just because they're doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like fucking trap metal and like, it's like, that's cool, but like, is it gonna have? It might have an audience, cool, but it's just, where does it go? I don't know. It goes to the point where AI, you literally just click a button and say, I want it in the key of A, and then fucking the whole thing's programmed for you.
That is the kind of shit that does grind my gears a little bit.
Yeah,
is like
there's no soul,
the shit now that's literally like, oh, you put in this plugin and you just like literally hit the button and it creates a whole fucking beat for you. And it's like, it literally is that. And it's like, okay, like at least what I'm doing and what you're doing is like, we're coming with something like, I want my kick drum to be this, and I'm going to shape it this way, and I want it to be like this or whatever, So like, there is a little bit of the part now, and I do kind of hate on that where it is a little too easy now with the drag and drop and the shit where it's like, there's the barrier to entry is like zero.
It kind of defeats the purpose, right? Like if you're not crafting at least a certain percentage of it yourself, like what's the fucking point?
There's nothing of you in
it. There's no soul. And then like going back to what Nick was saying, how he thrives off other musicians, that's where all the like creativity comes. But on the other side, it is helpful if you don't have musicians around you where you live and you can just fucking find some drums that sound badass. Like, you know what I mean, or you don't find a drummer that's good enough to play the shit you want to play or whatever, like at least you got those abilities to still be creative. So that's nice. It's like the barrier to entry is so low because you could buy a $400 laptop and literally buy like a $200 program, and for $600 you could be like having a whole band and putting shit on Spotify, which you shouldn't be able to do. But that's a whole nother topic.
I kind of agree.
It should be mastered. There should be some kind of gatekeeping on that distribution.
Dude. And I think a lot of people do, dude. Nowadays, like everybody used to always like shit on record labels and it's the gatekeeping. And I get it. I get that whole argument, and it's like, okay, well, I wouldn't be able to put out anything. I'm not on a record label.
Right.
So that's me too.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's so much garbage.
Yeah. So much trash.
You can't, that it's just like, this is the worst thing ever. You shouldn't really be able to like legitimately release this because it's fucking terrible.
Yeah. It
like,
doesn't sound good. You recorded it on your phone in your car over a beat you didn't pay for.
Yeah.
And you put it on all streaming. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for being so oblivious that you don't know your music's fucking trash.
And then we wonder why nobody fucking wants to listen to music anymore.
They'd rather listen to
I was just going to say,
yeah.
It does remind me of, this philosophy that I've come to. People ask me, like, what do you listen to? And I'm like, well, next to nothing, thanks to how much garbage is out there currently. Like, do you like music anymore? Some. Yeah. I like
what
old
I used
stuff.
to. Yeah.
My favorite bands are when they're putting new shit out. And, like, as you know, this podcast has pretty much been the Dave Mustaine cast. Is all we've talked about.
No.
It's all Megadeth all the time, bro.
Did we not talk about Dave Mustaine?
I fucking swear we did.
Yeah, I'm joking around.
The odds
would
seem to lean in that direction, basically.
It's all Mustaine all the time.
Yeah.
The grandfather of metal.
I mean, his new riffs are dope, though. I'm not gonna say they're not.
We did a deep dive on the new Megadeth a couple episodes
his riffs
ago.
are tight, bro.
I love the new Megadeth.
I'm with it. I didn't even give the whole thing a try.
I love it.
But the riffs, what I heard, were sweet. I was like, hell yeah, that's nice.
Dude, the riffs are the best. It's some of the best riffs he's ever fucking come down with.
Speaking of riffs, this song that you sent me, I just want to say that on this podcast for whoever listens to it, that song that you sent me, the rock song.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Oh, I don't remember what you were saying in it either. It wasn't like big time or...
No idea.
Oh, well, I was just going to say it was great.
Was it good?
Great song.
Okay.
It was a great song.
As long as it's good.
He's like, now I remember the name now that you said it was good. I fucking remember that clearly
if
now.
I
But
sent
I just
it to you,
wanted to
I'm
say.
sure that it's great.
Yeah. He's like, I have so many great ones, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But no, it was great,
I have
dude.
too many projects going on, so I don't know. Yeah.
But no, it was good, dude. I really liked it. It was
Thanks,
cool
man.
that you sent it to me, and I was really impressed because, like we kind of said before, we've always known each other and known about each other, but we've never really shared art or a stage. Unlike you and Nick, where you guys got kind of a different connection. Like we've always known of each other, and now our relationship has kind of become more of a relationship, just over knowing people.
Especially
and
the
shit.
sexual
Getting a little warm and fuzzy.
Hey man,
no, I appreciate it. I'm always looking for fucking anybody to like to.
And I wouldn't bullshit you. Like I wouldn't just be like, "Hey, that's fucking great."
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm looking for people, and
so great.
Sometimes I feel like people get mad at me almost because I'll give them feedback the way that I want feedback, where I'm giving like legitimate feedback, like, "Yo, you could do this." Like I'm giving like real technical things, like, the snare is too loud or something. Just stupid, just easy shit. And then like it's like they were actually just looking for me to go, "Oh, it's phenomenal."
Yeah, I think a lot of people want that pat on the back, but I think I was like that for the longest time.
I'm like, please tell me what sucks about it so I can fix it before I put it out. Like,
I've had this realization now, like, over even the last 6 to 8 months, where it's like, dude, I need to start doing that with like my beats and shit. Like, I just be like, "Oh, my shit's sweet," and then I'll listen to shit from 2 years ago. I'll be like, "Dude, I suck fucking bad."
Right.
Hit people up.
I can't believe I showed people that shit.
I
but now I'm like pretty fucking sweet. Like I know that now. I put it in the hours.
2 years from now, you're gonna be looking back
and being like. But the nice thing is that at least I know that I'm pushing.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't just keep doing the same thing over and over. I'm always experimenting, always trying to add more and get more in depth. But the one thing that I realized is like that I always forget what I'm talking about. So
We didn't even blaze this yet. But that's what I was telling you.
We were talking about the feedback. I'm sorry, buddy.
Shit because I'll give you legit feedback.
Right, and that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want because if you're the only one listening to it, if you're the only one listening to it, that's not good.
Got to get some more hands on deck.
Exactly.
Get some other opinions.
You got to
get shit from different angles.
You get in your bubble. You're used to hearing it one way.
Yeah, in the same speakers and the same environment.
Somebody else has to listen to it. Like,
and that's why
there has to be another set of ears just to catch things. As Jay has bounced things off of me, I'm like, Jay, you need to go back and look at this time segment right here. There's some sort of error that you need to address. And he's like, oh yeah,
I didn't even hear that. I heard it so many times that I didn't hear it.
It's literally just glossy.
I sent him an album Minstrel Tunes and he ripped it apart, but it was far stronger after the feedback came through, man. So. I appreciate the courtesy laugh. That was not that great of me.
Yeah, but that's the kind of network I've tried really hard to build over the last few years. All my friends, my guys that work in my good friend who runs Shinedown Studio is excellent at giving me mixed feedback. So I try to hit him up. My friend Nick Hagan, who I work with, who was just on the pod, he's one of my main guys. We bounce everything off each other essentially.
So let me ask you something, because I think two things stem from that not wanting that feedback. One is the ego thing, where it's like, no, I did that. I'm good. Yeah. I did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always that thing, right? There's always that. So, fuck what you say. You know what I mean?
Tell me
because
it's great.
I made it that way because, just tell me it's great, because it's the ego thing.
That's all I need. Tell me it's great.
Though,
thanks.
You put your soul out there.
But the other side of it, I think, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's almost this thing where it's like, you have to have that trusted network of people, 4 or 5 people
you trust,
because you don't want fucking Tommy A, B, and C that don't know dick about nothing or metal or whatever to try to give you some. Your cousin Larry that hears it when he walks by the room or whatever.
You know what I'm saying? Everything on SoundCloud, and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't just throw my demo tracks up there for people to scrutinize.
Well,
that's a half-baked idea.
That's what I'm saying. Is these guys shouldn't be putting their shit on sound unless it's just for private.
I've heard some good things. Of
course, but that's what we were just talking about. Was throwing it back of every bullshit. Bro, nobody wants to hear your demo. We want to hear a finished track. If you think it's finished, and you want to put it out as finished, okay, cool. But I don't want to hear your fucking demo, dude.
There is a
I'll share a
you got
demo
internet
with you.
on that, brother.
Oh yeah.
There is an actual. I just heard this the other day. Maybe you did too, because we listened to a lot of the same things. It might have been on something we listened to, but there's an actual ailment for people to think that their shit is really badass, but it's really terrible. It's like this weird. That doesn't give you much. I'm sorry, bro. It doesn't give you much to work with.
Is it the Dunning-Kruger?
Yeah. But it's a real thing. I'm just saying, if you want to fact check that, you can, because that's
it's got to be a
it's really called something.
Condition,
it's really called something. Somebody they think they're some fucking amazing singer, and they go up and they sing at everything they can because they think they're amazing.
Yeah.
And it's literally the most wretched racket you've ever fucking heard, and it's some weird delusional.
It's
thing.
It's called Ingersoll disease. Is what they call that.
But Doom Hiss. Where's the drummer at? Where's your drums at?
It's somewhere. Hold on.
Pause the show.
Got him. Did it pause again?
No, talk amongst yourselves. I gotta fix it.
All right.
No drum pad? Why are we even here, man?
He got him.
The soundboard pad's down. Is that what you're doing?
He's like, now I know I don't send him mixes.
All right, hold on.
They're missing the drums.
There you go.
Somewhere there is the. I don't know where the rim shot is. It's on there somewhere.
Got to get this thing labeled,
I know.
Nice.
15 weeks in a row now. We got to get this thing labeled.
Same shit, man.
Not even change. Just fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I'm just gonna throw this random ass thought out there, because we talked about, you like stand up, we talk about stand up, right?
Yeah,
stand up comedy, right? I know you do too.
Oh, yeah.
But have you ever listened to the Kill Tony podcast?
Oh yeah.
I never was exposed to that, but dude, that's like I've always wanted a funny podcast. There's moments on a lot of podcasts that are funny, but there's no podcast that I listen to that I'm just pretty much laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
I might suggest Dangerville.
Our
just
podcast.
Saying.
Oh, okay.
What? Come again? I've never heard of this one before.
But
piece
yeah,
of shit
that
show.
I've been
The stoner motherfucker over here.
He's just like,
This is funny.
but yeah, I didn't know if you ever heard that before, but I've been listening to some of that just because I like stand up, and I just thought it was interesting because it is pretty fucking funny. Just, but the problem is with that, when I hear that kind of, are you familiar with that? Where they bring a comedian.
Yeah, I haven't listened. I know the premise.
You go out for a minute, you know.
Yeah, but they do a lot of roasting out there. So the
Yeah,
problem is
back and
with
forth.
me is like that's what we used to always do. That's kind of what we do anyway as boys, roasting shit.
breaking
So it's,
balls,
yeah, just breaking balls. But like, fucking, we would get deep in that shit, and then now listen to that. Now like everywhere I go, I'm at the store, I'm just ragging on motherfuckers, and I'm just like, man, I can't be like, it's just like saying shit to my wife, like
Just practicing for that future
I'm
Kill
just-
Tony moment.
Exactly.
Just ramp it up.
And she's like, oh my god, and I'm just like, yeah, look at this motherfucker. Like, I just,
Yeah, no, but I'm the same way. I get into that too from like doing this show because like depending on who's on the show, we'll go hard on each other and shit sometimes. Not super hard, but like just doing jokes and shit. Then I'll be like doing that shit like at work. And I'm like, I'm gonna slow it down a little bit.
you're not here.
This roasted motherfucker Dangerfield style.
Look at this Q-tip looking motherfucker.
What's
over
who am I thinking of? The guy from Dirty Work is like, look at this fat fuck over here. The famous like dickhead
Artie
comedian.
Lang,
No,
or-
the short bald, the older comedian guy.
Danny DeVito. No, wait, older.
He worked in the movie theater in Dirty Work. You know exactly what I'm talking
No,
about.
He's
Sorry.
with
Yeah,
Norm
yeah.
McDonald.
Artie Lang, dude. That's not. It's him and Norm.
No, it's
Norm,
the
right?
old
Dirty Work?
legendary comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Artie Lang.
No, he's not.
Artie Lang's stand up is funny as a motherfucker.
Yeah,
He
man.
did a live at Gotham stand up
Is
special.
it a newer one or
No,
it's
this
old,
is probably
old?
like
Okay.
15 years
Oh,
ago,
okay.
if not more. Jesus
Are
Christ.
you
still-
blitzkrieg right
No,
now?
I'm
dude?
not. But I don't listen to a whole lot of stand-up comedy. I used to listen to stuff back in the
love
day.
Speaking of stand-up comedy, boys,
What's up?
I saw Bill Burr last night.
oh
Is it
really?
live
He's like one of the
here in
last
town.
comedians I enjoyed.
Dude,
you know.
it was fucking fire.
At the Van Andel?
At the Van Andel.
Fuck yeah.
So funny. His new shit is it's
And
better
he's already
than
got
ever.
an hour besides that shit he just put out.
And it's I mean it's pretty tight, but
Yeah.
he's also talking a lot of shit about Michigan and stuff too. Like
he
you fill in between bits and
Yeah,
shit.
he's good at that by
Dude,
now.
but no,
Yeah, he's
it's
always
a
hitting
tight.
that up.
It's still a tight hour. Like
Yeah.
dude, it's so fucking funny.
who was opening? Anybody?
His name's like Ryan Craig or something like that.
Pretty good.
He was all right. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't
yeah.
my favorite. I honestly feel like there could have been something maybe a little bit funnier opening for
Yeah.
Bill Burr on an arena tour, but he was good. And they're obviously boys because he told this whole story about doing mushrooms again as a follow up to the story that's on his special.
Oh, already, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, and I bought him from somebody who may or may not be my opening act.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was that Red
Yeah.
Rocks he was going off on all that material, that Red Rocks special. Yeah.
He did this whole thing about how he's I'm gonna check in. He's like, my wife is like, why are you gonna do mushrooms again? You had a horrible time. And he's like, I just thought I'd check in. Did shit like that.
Yeah,
but
sometimes that's the way you feel.
and then the whole bit was about how he goes out, she kicks him out because she doesn't do him, and they're on vacation, and he goes outside of the bungalow. I'm just giving away Burr's act right now. And fucking he's on mushrooms and he starts doing a set to the cactuses and shit. And
That sounds about right.
Awesome.
yeah, that was his closing bit. But what I really want to fucking talk about is it was one of these shows where you got to put your phone
Oh yeah,
in the case and all that.
basket, Yeah,
Dude,
In the bag.
it was a fucking shit show. It was the longest, most punishing line that I've ever been into a concert. And I've done the bag thing before.
Oh really? I've never done it.
And this was like the fucking the people working security and shit was just like, it just took for fucking ever.
How the fuck do they even do
It's
that
like
with
a
all
coat
those
check
people?
situation. You get like a ticket type
no,
thing,
they
or
put
what
it.
is
They literally, you put your phone in this pouch and they close it up. You can't open it, and then they give it to you. And then when you leave, they got like a fucking tool that pops out. It's like the old CD cases at Meyer, where you had to
okay.
have a certain guy with a tool to take the fucking security case.
Leave it in
over.
your car and skip that fucking line.
Well, you could do that, but you can't skip the line. That's it. You still got to go through that same line.
No matter what.
No matter what, dude. There's no phone line.
Yeah,
Like,
otherwise, motherfuckers
You're like, got a phone?
getting
No,
that shit through
y'all
on
got
the
a
sneak
phone.
in that other line.
Yeah, y'all got a phone.
it was all that and beyond. It was just it was literally like an hour long fucking line. To
Yeah, I was
get
gonna
into the
say
show,
that's
dude. I'm
that's
losing my
fucked for you too,
buzz.
because you like
I'm getting
literally
pissed
live
off.
around here, so like it wasn't too much of a drive.
We were like, if we would have
10
known we would
minutes.
have waited for this, like we would have just waited at the restaurant and had another drink and just let this hour roll by and we'll walk up. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't care that I'll miss some of the opening act or whatever. Like it was,
Yeah.
it was fucking frustrating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm already kind of pissed off because of that, and then like the beer situation in there is like the lines are out fucking rageous because like the show's about to start and nobody's even in the venue yet, and like
Really? Because
well,
everybody's
kinda,
waiting
like,
in line
it was
for beer
behind
and waiting
schedule,
for shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be like doors at 6.
Gotta sneak
opener
that
at 7.
flask in, son. Don't even fuck around with those
For
beer
real,
lines.
I did sneak my vape pen in,
Pre-game.
but then
Gotta have it.
fuck. Well, that's what we were doing, you know.
But when you gotta
then
wait in a long
you gotta
ass
wait,
line,
that's
you're
what I'm saying.
fucking
Yeah.
not even buzzed. by
you're
the time
losing
you
your
get
buzz and you're just
it
getting
does-
mad
that's
and
true,
shit.
that's true. Fuck it. Fucking
Yeah.
just nothing but anger, seeing red.
Yeah,
Fuck this
you know,
there.
venue.
You can only check Facebook so many times.
I'm doing a bunch of Bill Burr-esque rants.
I was gonna
in
say
the
this is
line.
the only guy in the stadium angrier than Bill Burr himself. This motherfucking line. Ross gets up there, does
Dude,
about 10 minutes.
Seriously,
To,
and this is what happened to us.
He's
As-
like, hold my phone. I'll give your whole shit away on my podcast, bitch.
We're in line, right? It's this huge line. It's wrapped around the Van Andel. We like wait forever. Then this bitch comes up from security and she's like, hey, right here at the line, come with me this way. So it kind of seems like we're like, oh, we're going to get in like a quicker line.
Yeah, like
there's a
she's separating.
Yeah.
it.
Well, she did, but basically what she did was she just put a bunch of people in another huge line. We just got put in this other line, and we were like, what the fuck? We already waited in this line, and we were like, the door was like right there.
And then she put you in a longer
Put
line.
it in another line. It was like the same, and I was like, what the fuck? And I shouldn't have fucking followed that, but should have just stayed the course. The door was right here.
You should have just turned around and been like, yeah, you can go over there.
Yeah. And it was just some
gotta hold
fucking,
strong in that current line. So.
yeah, it was some idiot fucking.
It's hard to know, though. It's hard to know
what I'm
because you
saying.
just want to get the fuck
Yeah,
in there.
it
Just
seemed
want to
like
get on
it
with
was
your
like-
night.
He thought he
You
was
wanna
getting
get
that
your-
golden ticket,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah,
Like,
he wanted that motherfucker.
100%.
He was like, I'm getting a beer right now.
Uh-huh.
Fuck.
getting that
the
first
gamble you
class
take.
treatment.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
yeah,
gambled.
finally they know who I am.
rolled the dice and I fucking lost.
Fuck.
You know who I
Snake
am?
eyes, baby.
I run the fucking Dangerville podcast.
Yeah.
Big time in America.
Snake
My
eyes.
backstage
Waiting in this line
pass.
like a fucking animal.
So anyway, we go.
He's
we
like,
get
shut
there.
up. Go with that longer line.
The other thing that sucks is you don't really realize is like we got like split up and like she was going to the fucking, you know, like hit the beer line or whatever. I got to take a piss or whatever. You don't got your phone, so you can't like text each other like meet me at the seat, meet me, you know, like whatever. They got to give you a sticky note with your fucking seat number on it because you don't have your phone with your ticket in it.
Oh, man.
So like you can't remember what the fuck your seats are. You know, everybody's hammered. Like so they're literally like going, "Hey, can we write down your seat number for you?" They're coming there, and I'm like, "This sucks." You know?
1996
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there,
like,
what the fuck's going
Yeah,
on?
what is it? Do I need a name
I'm
tag?
like-
Is it third grade? What the fuck
Yeah.
is going on?
I'm like,
Can
hello,
you got
my
a
name
crayon,
is,
motherfucker?
I'm like,
What
I
is
saw
happening
a
here?
white zombie with a knife on me. Nobody
Yeah,
cared. You know, they were giving away knives at the door when you went in.
They weren't letting you into the show unless you had a requisite
Yeah.
number of knives.
Yeah, they're like, you don't have enough metal on you.
They're
Yeah,
like,
dude.
sir,
Can
your,
you-
your wallet chain is not long enough.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
Not
need a
nearly
longer
hard
wallet
enough for
chain.
this show. You're
Oh, is that
bitch
it?
made, son. Get the hell out of here.
Is that
You're
a
not
full
made for
gas
zombie.
can? Go ahead.
Anyway, Bill Crusher, I get
That's
why
cool,
they
though.
fucking don't.
Yeah,
why a comment? I
right.
get it. I really do.
And he's still working that out. That might not come out
Exactly,
for another
yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That might not even be his closer.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might
You
be all
guys got the
throwaway,
first
you know?
dog shit run of that new.
No,
I'm dumping on those
Yeah.
fuckers in Grand
Nah,
Rapids. They won't know the
fuck,
difference.
dude.
Dude, it was
if you've been
so
doing it,
funny,
hey,
dude. Yeah,
dude,
everything,
if you've been doing
everything.
your craft that long, you know
Oh,
you
yeah.
good at this shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Good enough to
mean?
get shit
That's
done.
like asking anybody that's done
Yep.
shit for 20 years to do some shit. You're like, all right, let's
Gold
do it.
material, literally the funniest shit he's ever done. It's so fucking funny. So but leaving was a fucking shit show too. You know, it was just like that again in reverse. Took forever to get out
Waiting
of
for
there
the CD holder
because
guy?
everybody's got a fucking he's got
The
to
magnet
they got
guy?
to take your fucking phone out of the pouch and it's just like it's a fucking
How
nightmare,
sealed
man.
up is this pouch? I'm picturing like some kind of Ziploc. You just fucking
Yeah,
slip
no,
that
it's
thing
like
down the
it's like
side
a
and call
single
it a day or
big
what's up?
button right in the middle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Great.
but-
It's unfortunate.
Press my fucking button.
Yeah, I've never experienced that before, but I actually haven't been to too many comedy shows, especially lately after COVID. So
Yeah.
I think when was the last time you did that? At a rock show, or was that at another comedy show? You said you did the bag before.
I'm sorry, I'm very high right now.
That's all right. I was just wondering. You said you did that before, and I know they do that at a lot of comedy shows. I don't
Yeah,
I don't know if they do it at any rock shows, but they might do it at more
I
like.
don't think I've ever had to do
Took
that.
me a
More
minute
like
to
a
remember
pop
where it
show or
was. I had to go
Never.
back in the fucking
I'm not
archives
going
of
to
my
big enough
mind to figure that
But
out.
I know you went to Rammstein not too long ago.
Yeah,
I didn't know
they
if that
didn't-
was something like that
No,
there
they
too,
didn't do
because
it.
I don't know.
It was at
they
the
have that
cool
now.
meet and greet where I had to do that shit at, dude. That's where it really took me a minute to fucking remember where I had to do that shit. But
Do you guys like that Pussifer band?
Most
I
obvious
love
one.
Pussifer.
Go and
Really?
see
Yeah.
Pussifer
Yeah,
on
we're
the
going.
15th.
I mean, you got to be into that
couple
fucking.
weeks.
If you're into the fucking Maynard shit, which I am. It's deep. It's a deep dive. But
Yeah,
I'm a
I
huge
don't-
Pussifer fan.
I only been exposed to a little bit of it, and then none of it was enough to make me want to go after more of it. But I don't know if it's just you can't always base everything off that either. You know what I mean?
gets-
Like,
it
because
gets
it's always
better as it
about
goes.
moods and feelings
Yeah,
wherever you're at.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
it's
You
just
don't like
always
it?
some.
I haven't listened to enough of it to honestly say. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't pursued
new
it.
shit.
It just doesn't seem like something I'd be terribly into. But I mean, I guess if I gave it a chance, I would know better. I mean, I'd give anything a
It's
chance.
kind of love it or hate it, and it's
Yeah.
like
Just
half a
like a
joke,
perfect circle
so
is far
it's
enough
like,
removed
kinda
from
it's
what I
fucking
enjoy that he does. So this seems like another step away from that even further.
And it's a little
Yeah.
more like pseudo
Yeah, it's like-
electronica, not like
yeah,
electronica
100%,
in
not
the traditional
pseudo, 100%.
sense, but, like,
yeah,
it's-
and that's
Very electronic.
that's too
I
far
was gonna
away
say,
from
there
music
isn't
that I enjoy.
really
Yeah.
instruments,
That is-
is there? I mean, there is, but there's not. Like,
At some point, it's like, yeah, I like that guy. He's a great artist. Like he's entertaining, and I enjoy most of his stuff.
Yeah.
But I start drawing lines
It's
like,
different.
yeah,
It's most
you're
definitely
good,
not
but
too.
yeah, like
I didn't dig it the first time.
So,
I heard
mean,
it,
like
way
Devin
back in
Townsend,
the day
another
when it
guy.
first
I like
started.
Devin Townsend. He does a lot of great things, but I don't like everything that he does.
Same.
He's just too prolific, and I'm not feeling every mood that Devin's feeling. Sometimes ever, like I'm not feeling any of those moods. Like those,
Feeling that skullet.
yeah. Oh, well, we
Remember his skullet?
miss it. Yeah, I saw it live.
Did you know?
At the intersection way back? So this is
SYL,
the
right?
current, the current
Lucky
venue,
motherfucker.
but
Yeah.
one of the first shows at this current venue that they've opened now. It was like Strapping Young Lad, Nile. Fuck, maybe Napalm Death. I can't even Cradle of Filth. Like this is some wild like.
This is the super metal.
Yeah, it was
Love
cool.
it.
Devin called out one of the fans for being a stupid redneck with a pullover coat. I was like, yes, fucking roast him from the stage.
Nice.
Intersection
Canadian.
rules, man. I fucking love Intersection. What's
I-
it called
right?
now?
Yeah, he was nice after the show. He's walking about and just
He ain't got no room
looking
to
a
talk
bit.
shit. He's a Canadian with a skullet.
I think
Fuck
somebody-
him, dude.
But when he's in SYL mode, he's like a total like.
I'm kidding. I'm a
Yeah,
fan.
he's a
He's kind of
machine
a
gun.
character.
I
yeah.
ran into him at the
seen
NAMM
him-
show.
I seen him as the Devin Townsend band.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was just like,
Yeah,
whatever.
he was trying to figure out what
I
he
was
was
like,
doing.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they were with Between the Buried and Me too, so like,
Yeah.
they were good, but like when those guys play, you're just kind of like, yeah, everybody else is not good. You're
I was
just like,
at that show.
You got like,
I remember one
I mean-
song from Devin, the first song that he came out with. I think it was from the Ocean Machine,
Yeah.
and then after that, I just blacked out.
That was my
there was nothing,
favorite
There was nothing
shit.
left. I just like.
I've never been super into it, but
too
I was
much.
into the Ocean Machine shit.
I remember that BT
Van
Man
Hees
performance.
got me into that, dude. He was preaching it hard when that shit came out.
What, Ocean Machine?
Yeah, and like high school, I remember fucking Van. He's like, dude, you got to hear this.
Ocean Machine's good. It's a little too happy and upbeat for me. End of the day, I like several of the songs off of that album, and there's there's definitely 4 or 5 of them that are really rocking. But I think it's Terria is another one of his projects. Now that one I go in on all day, like front to back.
It's
Throwing-
so funny, dude. You're into
it's-
so much heavier shit. You're like, that's not heavy enough for me. I'm like, that's the heaviest shit ever made. Yeah.
oh, that's me too.
I know.
Well, no,
It's hilarious. It's
No, it's funny
hilarious
because
to me.
there's-
and I love it too. I'm not. It's fucking
There's-
great.
I have
it's funny.
limits, and when I reach them, I'm like, oh, it's beyond the pale. It's like too fucking heavy, but I bet everybody thinks I'm gonna like
Yeah.
it. And it's like
You're always like, yeah, this is more like poppy, and then I play it. It's like, whoa, this is the heaviest shit I've ever heard. I'm like, this is poppy.
That's
radio friendly growls.
Like, okay.
You're gonna love it.
All right, so I got to bring something up. This motherfucker's got a whole ass agenda in his pocket to talk about. So
I just
we're
brought
leaving these-
topics that
I
would
just
maybe,
want to. I want to talk about
come
these topics.
They're mine.
Yeah, I
They're
want to
mine.
see what.
Well, they're not.
I'm
they're not
highly
all
unprepared tonight. So.
We all, well, I thought just in case the conversation ran dry, do we have nothing else? We could skip right to the most important thing. That
No, go. Let's see what's on your fucking.
That's what
notes
I
here,
wanted to
man.
see.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all friends here.
The
Fucking
top
speak
of the list,
about
breaking
it.
it out.
Oh man.
Speak about it, Nick.
Speak.
Speak. I'd like to thank Ross for having me here today.
And his wife for dealing with our bullshit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Man, so I guess this isn't necessary.
What? Are you not going to read it?
No, I'm not going to read that.
What
That's
is
for me.
going on,
That's for
dude?
me. I'm showing you that I have a list that you
Okay.
cannot
What's
see.
the first topic?
No, the first topic is none of your business now.
Oh my god!
You pushed the man too goddamn far.
They're
No, he
so
knew much.
nosy. Can I
At
just
the
pick-
end of this-
These are multiple topics to choose from.
I
Wait for the
actually-
prime time to break it out
Yeah, don't
organically
just-
in the
yeah,
context.
come on.
I don't know about all that.
Let's roll the dice.
Yeah, I was
Let's
gonna
just-
say.
yeah.
I was gonna say, just pick one.
Pick
Let's
one, dude.
fucking
Let's
go.
talk about it.
Cover the
Let's
eyes.
go.
Do one of these. Fucking.
Yeah, I said let's go.
Let him
Why
Pick
do
one.
Yeah,
pick
pick a
one.
random.
Like pick a random one.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Close.
Let's do it.
I
Well,
told you this is
come
all
on,
free,
come on, do
free
it.
roaming, my brother. So
Well,
whatever you want to
guess,
say.
I guess
Do
the main thing. No, the main thing that I would want to talk about here, and that I was excited to talk about, is all of the work that Jay has done on the new Infinite Design album.
I didn't pay him to say that. Actually, I haven't got paid shit. Just remember.
We were only just now going over the bottom line on the way up here.
Oh, were you playing it on the way over?
bill.
No, I
The
listened
bill.
to it just last night. Maybe he sent me mixes of the last bits to the like. So the album's got 8 tracks on it, and then
Dude, you guys want to hit this?
8 minuets between every track. So I had to present him with all of these samples and ideas for what needed to happen with the samples, and I was like, sorry to put on this on your plate, this is a lot of work, but I don't do this. You're the producer, so
You understanding what he's saying? After this 8 songs that have taken us 4 fucking years to record, he's like, "Hey,
Yeah,
I
I throw
have
this at him.
8 samples already picked out, about a minute and a half. They all
You
need
knew.
music on them."
yeah, you knew. Well, you kind of knew.
I love you, brother.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
but
fucking
I
with
told him, I was
you
like,
know.
these have music behind them, and we need to lose that. And
Come on!
and
Huh?
we-
What
we-
are they from? What kind of samples from movies or something? From
Yeah,
Leprechaun?
yeah. So
the
so,
Oompa Loompa song and
So
shit.
things that you kind of want to
vocal?
cover your back a little bit in ways too. It's like, yeah, that's
Just the
that's
vocal.
somebody else's music. I don't want to steal that. I just need the dialogue here. That's all I
Yeah.
really need.
I know it's hard
So
to do.
so we did that, and then which I thought in and of itself was a really nice feat. Because that didn't mean you had to drown it out in a mix. It meant you had a nice clean slate of just what you wanted. Only the meat there, and then Jay really came to task when I was like, here's what I envision musically. I know you can pull this off. Keep it simple. A couple of instruments per sample. Just make it flow from track to track, because I want to give people a breath between the madness of a thrash death metal song, which
Yeah.
I think musically we did some really nice things there too. I could speak more on the music too, and I will. But the samples was an idea that I couldn't get
But you
out
didn't.
of my
It's
head.
still madness, though, right? Because
The samples?
No, the song.
The songs are still going to be, they're going to
Yeah.
be more Infinite Design
Yeah.
than ever, I think. They're going to be
There's madness for sure.
Yeah,
Especially when you hear
yeah.
especially when you hear the vocals, you're gonna be like, "What in the fuck?"
Yeah, we took extra care to make it a heavy Infinite Design album. Heavier
So
than
if
the
he
last.
says
so-
heavy, you might want to take that.
Yeah, I
as-
mean,
This is more of our pop record. Actually.
this is our most mainstream shit. Yeah,
I don't know that we have any pop music, but yeah, we took a lot of care to make heavy streamlined songs that had songwriting structure by and large. People will almost know what to expect. There's song structure there. We didn't want to get lost in the chaos of these 20-minute orchestrations that some prog metal bands do. I mean, I appreciate that stuff, but for guys that are working the schedules that we were working and living the lifestyles that we were living, we don't have the luxury of we kind of did that on phases. We wrote 8-minute songs front to back on that, and so we wanted to shorten that up a little bit and just kind of put things into a songwriting structure that was less chaotic than some previous efforts, I would say.
Yeah, good.
I I'm sorry.
I feel like that's exactly what you guys needed to do.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, we gave every song like a little breath in between on this album, just to kind of get heady with it, and then and with intent, with great intent. All of these samples are chosen, for their content, what they're speaking to, and that's supposed to kind of help roll you into like the next song, and then take you on another one of these holy shit, 6-minute roller coasters. I mean, they're still longer songs. They're still 5-6 minute songs. I'm gonna, be honest with you. They're longer. They're longer for like music listeners these days. You can't fit one of these into a TikTok. So we're not gonna. I don't think we're going viral.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that. I think the last time, and maybe it didn't translate, but that's also something you and I have talked about in conversations. Different techniques, and something that Nick and I have talked about too is like as you grow, like man, at the end of the day, you just want to write a good song. Man, you know what I'm saying? So even though we're playing death metal and stuff, like we're kind of over that point where we started, where it's like, hey, look at us, look what we can do. No one gives a fuck, bro. We did that for so long and wasted so much time and look what we can do when we could barely fucking do it anyway. Like it was
somebody that's always better
to do
than you.
That, and somebody's always still better than you. So like if that's what you strive for, but like I say, we're at the time at what we were going for, we were pretty damn good. But like there's still just levels to that shit. You know what I mean? And we weren't. So at the end of the day, for me, and being a producer, and I'm sure you understand this too, is like just writing that fucking good song. It's still death metal. Still a good riff, but you're just basing that riff off of 6 notes, or the whole song's based off of 6 notes. And 3 riffs.
The
and you kind of just transfer them so they all flow together. Instead of like riff soup where you're like back in the day we're like, okay, tap and then do da da da. It's like
it's metal and it's riffy as fuck, but there was a lot of like patience given to songwriting where this thing we didn't just write it and take 6 years to produce it. We took years to write it and years to produce it. And a lot of that production was broken up because of COVID, and it could have been done prior to that. But again, busy work life, schedules. It's like you can't always make the sessions, with the preparedness that you want, or be as you can't knock as much out in a session as you thought you might. Like, oh, we were going to do 3 songs today. Well, we did 1.5. See you next time.
Oh, that's
so there's some of that, 100%. And then there's 18 months of can't see you, can't breathe in the same room as you. Like we weren't really savvy enough to be like file exchanging. Like there was contemplation of their discussion of like, I'll send you the tracks. Yeah, he's way more set up for that. He's like, come on, dude, come on, get over here. And so there was some talk of that, but we finally did like finish everything, and then I had to set him up with 8 more samples, do all this work. He did all that. He just recently sent them to me. I snipped everything down to the second that you hear sound on everything in my DAW. I fuck around a little bit. And
what are the samples really? Jokes aside,
they are. I don't want to give away too much right now. Right now,
is it but it's dialogue from films. And shit?
Correct. Yeah, it is definitely that, because I wanted to make sure that I was taking something that wasn't somebody else's music, and I didn't mind borrowing the art as it like related to ours. And I don't think it's a way to sell our art. I'll talk about it. I like it. I enjoy this element of the album, because we wanted to write an album as close as we could to like a concept, definitely thematic in a lot of ways. Like there was death is behind the door in every one of these songs. It's a death metal band.
It's a 40-year-old death metal band.
It's a 40-year-old crusty guy.
Man. If not, I could slip on the fucking vacuum and die tomorrow. So fuck, bro.
Death is near.
There's a lot of
that midlife, just
almost dead,
appliance-related deaths.
Appliance-related deaths, washing machines.
Get in the refrigerator, close the door. Cold and dead inside.
From the hide and seek game.
But they're not. You should.
With the sample. I'm sorry, Ross.
You should have had Snoop Dogg sample.
They're from
on this Izzle Batizzle.
That's what I'm saying.
So they are samples, and what I did is I stripped everything behind them, and I just used the audio, and then I like orchestrated some things.
So like it's a sample with a score.
Exactly.
How did you get rid of the score? I mean, what, with some EQ and shit?
So there's this producer trick.
No, I'll tell you,
because I call a little bit of both. I'm kind of like, it's not really even that possible.
Dude, it was so beautiful to hear like that he had come through with
all
this.
Right, what'd you do?
So I've been looking for this for a while. So you can do it in RX10 Ozone, right? You can do it in
Ozone shit,
yeah, but that's like ultra expensive. This thing came across my fucking Facebook, and it's called Simple Stems, and they wanted $50 for it, and they're like, all you do is load the fucking track in there, you hit split, you can do 2 splits, so just split the music and the vocals into 2 tracks. And listen, it's not perfect. There's a little bit of artifact,
sure,
but it's the best sounding shit I've had that I bought for $15. And if you're doing what I did with it, or gonna do with hip hop and shit, you're gonna hear artifact anyway. But if you can separate that sample that easy without you trying to get in there and do all that, like it does a great fucking job, especially for fucking $25 or whatever, 15, whatever I paid for it.
You said 50, then you said 15, now you said 25.
It's somewhere in the range.
What is the price?
All right, that's
He's
my
not
fault.
selling it.
You
He's
can't
not
put a
selling
price
it.
on success.
So here's the deal. I think what happened was like I seen it and it was like $50, but they're like, you can get it today for like $15, and I slept on it for a bit. I was like, I don't know about this, because you got to be exposed to it a few times and shit. Then I seen it again, and then it was like $25, and I was like, I don't know now. And then I think at the end of the day, I bought it from but I didn't buy it for $50. That's what they wanted for it, but it was cheap. Anyway, it does a great fucking job, and like I did it with the sample because there was just a score or whatever, but I actually split up. I took somebody's beat that like a rapper wanted to use in the studio and just split it up to see how it would sound. Now, it's not perfect because when you're getting into the beats, they got them hard 808s, and it's really hard to, do that in an automated program. But still, man, if you wanted to snipe out a chunk of that melody, it'd be so fucking easy.
Wow.
Dude, I did it with tracks and like just separated the vocal or the trumpets, like this old sample I took off YouTube, and I'm like, this is the shit. Like it helps a lot. I can send you the link if you're interested, because it's a great fucking tool, bro.
I've 100% fought with that. With like I sample shit out of old films a lot.
Yep.
And that score and shit's in there, and I actually just kind of have just owned it, just being like, it's kind of like part of what it is too.
And I thought I wrestled with it. I really did. But I was like, am I leaning too hard into the music here for the thought? Because I was like, this music really takes the thought to a crescendo, and I was hoping, I'm like, Jay, it's got to like go somewhat with the original idea. Like you don't have to rewrite it, but like there's some intent there too. It's like some of these, I'm telling you, like the music behind them really move you, and you have to try to recapture that in your own way. But I wanted all of the music on this album to be strictly original.
Yeah.
Because people use samples every day, so I see nothing wrong with like taking a small conversation.
The problem is everybody instantly recognizes the theme from Leprechaun. So when you're sampling all Leprechaun,
that is true. It'll be all that.
People know what that is.
It's an undeniable and passionate audience.
It is. It's all Leprechaun metal. That's fucking.
We watched Leprechaun 5, Leprechaun in the Hood last week for the Halloween show. You don't know Lep in the Hood?
No.
Lep in the Hood,
fellas.
Bro. Don't sleep on Lep in the Hood.
Lep in the Hood.
Ice-T, starring
really?
Ice-T.
It's the best and worst movie ever made. You 100% need to watch it.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
That sounds amazing.
Or better yet, watch us watching it on last week's episode.
Yeah, there you go, dude.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Spotify for letting that video remain, dude.
How much of the vocals did you do on this one?
So about 90% that I did, and then we left parts that we knowingly always left for Jay. Jay always does those parts. And then Jay came in with another backing up of 100% of all of my work, probably, and some. So who's the lead vocalist? Who's to say? But
I was just wondering.
Yeah, it was more for.
But you guys have always done that, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, even
more for
before,
making it happen in the studio.
Yeah,
not doing death metal vocals for 3 fucking years doesn't help. Like you can't just go in there and start screaming. Yeah. You're a singer. You know what it takes to even
do that.
just. I had
to warm up a little bit.
I know what you do is ultra hard too, because it's a different whole thing on your vocal cords, but. That screaming thing, you got to do that shit for a while on the mic to get your voice used to that.
Trying to jump off the couch and run a fucking sprint at dead pace.
Muscle.
Stretched out.
Even warming up.
Exactly. It's the same exact thing. You just can't,
Even warming up on the way to the rehearsal or to the recording session, I'd have to get into it and then be like, these first 4 or 5 takes suck. Let me just drink a bottle of water. Yeah, just give it a little bit more. Turn me up in the headphones. Just a couple of different takes, and then finally getting a feel for the vocal being like, as thick and good as you want it. Like that vocal needs to be convincing. Sometimes you go in there and you're just like throwing the vocal out there, like going through the motion. Like that's how my voice is supposed to sound when I do that part. But you weren't really pushing, like maybe you should a little bit more for, at least that death metal vocal, like push it a little bit, like
it's got to be convincing. It can't be like,
Yeah, there's some parts where
you don't want to be confused with the metal.
Crapping out.
Yeah,
you definitely get to hear some vocals where it's like, that was weak.
They're not
going
to take you serious if it sounds that booty.
Just grab that round part right there and crank that fucker. The other one, that one right there. I got to get a different stand for this stand. That thing's fucking. These
are cool though.
It makes the Chewbacca. I know it's so this. You got the fourth man thing. Usually
I like holding it.
A lot of us is just three of us in here.
So I get the worst one. Thanks.
Yeah.
But it was your episode. I just snuck in
you
this.
snaked in at the last minute.
And
dominant Mike, dude. Dominant Mike.
I was like, I got ripped off last time. I'm taking
like
this bitch over.
Yeah, getting what's yours.
Jay's a good friend. He carries a lot of workload for me. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on here and doing my podcast.
Well, somebody's got to talk sense about it.
No, but Jay, he did a lot of work on the album, going back to the samples again, and I listened to it front to back with like uninterrupted, as I want it to be. I want it to be like next to no silence, unless there need be a moment there. Like, okay, there's a clear pause right here between the end of this track, or this moment, I should say, is a better way of putting it, and then like. Otherwise, you might have a run of 4 or 5 songs interrupted if that's what it takes, like to musically or captivate the listener, which is what I want. I want something that people could maybe sprint to for 6 minutes and then walk to for another couple and then sprint to again. Get your workout in, get your cool down in, however you want to look at it. The stories are 6 minutes long, and then there's like these breaks in between, and it's just enough to where you're ready for music by the time you get to the end of it. Like, where does this go? And then, bam, right in your face, fucker. More metal, know it. There's no real ballad on this thing. I mean, there's songs with more melody than others, and there's songs that are going to be like more just that chromatic tonality, or just
I will say
metal
this.
as fuck.
I will say this too, because this band is kind of like our swan song. Like it's pretty much done. You know what I mean? We don't have any.
We're on to other things.
Yeah, it's kind of it's dead in the water. It took this long to get it out. There's no recollection of seeing us like get together and try to remember that fucking insane metal.
I mean, the stems exist. Like, we could.
I probably could, because I sat down, because when I was making those samples, I just sat down with my guitar, which you probably do sometimes, kind of figure out a little like what the notes are and shit, and then I'll draw it into my MIDI so I can get the little strings and shit. You know what I mean? Because I just don't know the notes.
Same with some of those bass lines.
But I also want to make sure it's
in
tune with the guitar too. So like, you know what I mean? That's very important, obviously. So with these pieces or whatever, I just try to use those notes that were going into the next song, so it made that cohesive element. So there's elements of those notes of that song before that, shit like that, or even the BPM is like the same as the next riff or whatever.
Right.
So that's kind of why I wanted to get rid of that other music and then make my own scores, because then I could capture what I wanted to with that. And then obviously, like I'm sorry I keep saying that, but fucking you're a producer and I know you fucking around with stuff all the time, but like when you're doing samples, it's not like I'm just put the sample on there and that's it. Putting effects on there and fucking chopping shit. You know,
even the voices that remain got no effects.
Putting putting like fucking shit on the voice so it goes. I put like tape saturation, like all this shit. You know what I mean? So it ain't just it's more of just a piece of like production. You know what I mean? Like we kind of use that for, and I really just try to do it for, just try to see what Nick's vision was on it. But last thing I'll say about this, because I didn't want to keep rambling on about the album, but
I will.
But at the end of the day, when we talk about like death metal and like putting out an album or whatever, like Nick also did a fucking great job of like writing these vocal patterns over it that were actually memorable and like repeating and you know what I mean, because that's a huge thing, especially when it comes to like like metal and shit. Like like it's heavy, like you're not gonna have no fucking singing or whatever, but like when you actually have something there to grasp onto, the vocal might be a death metal, it might be a scream or a low growl or whatever it may be, like is whatever we decide to put on there, but there's still a pattern to it. So like there's some rhythm or some melodic sensibility. We're not just screaming.
Little catchiness, little stickiness
exactly.
factor.
Yeah. So
I try to be
come back
more
to a
tasteful
chorus.
with it.
We come back to a verse. It's shit that you could. It can still stick with you. You know what I mean? So it's like that's just kind of what we wanted to convey, and I think he did a great job. Because the last record, it was kind of a amalgamation of like all of us writing writing and throwing shit in.
Was that
and then
the
like
Phases one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then so you have Larry involved, and he writes
Also
differently.
very proud of that album, too, by the
Yeah,
way.
no, I mean I am too, and
But
you know,
a variety of genres, like we went through, like stylistically, musically, and vocally too. We went through like so many
My
different
copy
things.
of that's I think up here somewhere there.
But
You are a man of taste.
but this
I got my sticker too. I'll show you guys my. It's out there on one of my cabinets. My
nice.
Infinite Design
Hell
sticker.
yeah.
And it says "Death
That
fucking
fucking
metal."
Nice.
yeah,
And
that's
I
a
think
classic.
We're still pretty close to death fucking
Yeah,
metal.
pretty
I mean,
much we've come back around.
on this album especially. So
Yeah.
like Phases, way more progressive and experimental. Experimental would definitely be the word for Phases.
Yeah.
And I love that album. I stand by that all day, and that's something I would like. If we were still doing live music as Infinite Design, you'd have to take like 2, maybe 3 of those and keep them in heavy rotation in your set.
Yeah.
And they're long. They're like 7-8 minute songs, but you have to be ready to drop any one of those at any given time because they're just such a staple of what Infinite Design is like meant to do. And Fragments too. Now Architect is way wily, like just so raw and just
that's the old school shit.
that's just the original, the OG, like way
Well, I
way
told
back.
him.
but-
You remember me telling you
None
when
of
I
that's
saw you
getting
guys at the intersection one of the first
airplay.
times I saw you guys, and I was standing there and you were just doing. It was just like it was infinite sweet picking is what it was, and I was just standing there just like. Just like I don't know, just made you just blow my mind, and I was just stoned as hell. I'm sure I was drunk. I just go, Jesus Christ, like it's just
It's an exercise.
unrelenting.
And there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
like
I don't
Catalog,
even
but-
know why. I have no idea.
But that's
it's all
also
ego
that's
bullshit.
part of what
like,
it is, but that's also part of what that genre is. Dude.
it
But-
kind of is.
Yeah.
But and I remember I was going to say too. I remember you talking about back in the day. It was around that time or when you were playing with me or whatever. But you were talking about like, man, I'd kind of like to like do just a little bit more like melodic shit with Infinite Designer. Like let's like exactly what you're talking about that you guys did. Then you were talking about back then, like I could see like maybe like trying to bring in more.
And I
like,
feel like we
choruses and
did
shit.
it on Phases with like songwriting, and then we brought that into a focus with the new album. That we will have soon. Maybe I don't know if by the end of the year, but real soon. And I know I've been saying that for years and dragging people through promises of it's done or it will do it, but it's done. Like it's so done.
It's
like,
done as it's gonna get, bro.
It's
I
real
put somebody
done.
fucking out.
It's real done. I can't ask
Dude, that
Dave
thing's
anymore.
tortured me for months. I had to go to fucking therapy over that fucking thing.
no.
So how do you? I mean, like, sound good? You like it? You happy with it?
So I'll be, like I said, we're all in good company here, and I'll be totally transparent. Here's the deal with that record. We're always getting better, right? You better than you were the day before. You were too, you know what I'm saying? In your endeavors, you're always trying to improve and everything. So like you record this thing in 2019. You record drums in 2019, right?
Yeah.
And then you record guitars in 2019. You record some bass in 2019, and then the rest of the bass gets recorded in 2021.
Yep,
Yeah.
And then you
2021.
start vocals then, and it's been sitting there that long.
Yeah.
And then over the course of starting even to record vocals, like my skills and my ear and everything I'm doing is just getting
Different.
better and
Yeah.
different and better. So now I'm dealing with these tracks I recorded in 2019
Yeah.
with the knowledge I had in 2019.
Right.
Yep.
I'm recording these bass tracks that we've talked about since, and like, why the fuck did you do that, bro? Like, it's cool that you could, but
Right, yeah.
fucking why? Because that made my mixing life miserable.
Yeah, right.
And I'm
Just
finding that
re-record
out
it.
now. Before I thought it was cool that I had to go through that challenge, but now I just fuck myself.
Yeah, and as
you know
much
what I
as
mean?
I-
Instead of being like
Yeah,
Nick,
dude.
and you and I have talked about this multiple times, 'cause we always talk about songwriting, but like it's just, man, sometimes you don't gotta do all that on the
Right,
bass,
exactly.
bro.
And-
like
and I realized
it just
as
makes
much
it
as I
sound
realized that,
better,
I
cleaner.
feel like I
especially
simplified
when everything else going
so many
fast
things,
and
but
shit,
it's like in the end of the day, like when it comes to mixing a metal album, the bass can be simplified so much more than I already was like simplifying
Yeah.
my parts.
Yeah.
I listen back and I'm thinking, man, I could be doing so much more there because I know like what I'm capable of if I really like, sink my teeth into a riff or a fill or a part that I really want to stand out. But at the same time, it's like, man, less is more. And we've done that with our songwriting, and I've expressed that to Jay. I was like, Jay, it don't have to be 20 sweeps in a row. Like, it just needs, it doesn't need to be a technical shred fest. I would rather we just find the key that the first riff is in, and then write chord progressions around that, and then just stay in a songwriting mode. And we did that like in spades on this. I think. I mean, like I listened back to it, and I'm just like, yep. The whole. I mean, I just enjoy it as a listener. I like the mix on it. Like, I'm not a sound engineer, but I put it on and I turn it up basically as loud as anything else that I would listen to, and like it feeds the need. I like it. I enjoy. Like it's tasty to me, and I like it as an album front to back too. So I'm really proud of that aspect too. I really wanted to make a metal album and not like, oh, these are some good songs, one or two of them, but I'm not as proud of the rest. I'm proud of every single one. I couldn't even tell you which one to listen to first. I take my time. Like I choose my favorites here and there.
Well, my opinion on that always is the one to listen to first is the first song. That's why it's the
true
first
that.
song.
True that.
If you're talking about making, you're trying to make a record.
That's true.
Like
that's true.
Otherwise,
that's true.
you're saying like start in the middle of the movie,
and that's why the first song is.
I like
what
that
it is.
outlook on that too.
If you're making an album,
let me ask you something though, like. Because you always kind of feel that, like, and that's where that's at. Like, as a producer, I realized that later. So to answer your question, like, I'm pretty fucking proud of it. Because when I listen to it too, I'm like, after I like laid the solos, because that was the last thing I laid, because I needed everything else to be there. Like,
sure,
like it. Then
typical,
it even took on a whole nother fucking level of
you added so much
like,
more.
A whole bunch of other shit happened.
All of a sudden you go, oh, the song is there.
Yeah,
now.
like
I know
there's like
feeling.
this whole other aspect that wasn't there before, and
post
you're like,
production. I hear all these keyboard synths, and just a touch
just little
tastefully
shit
in the
there.
background, filling in space, and I was like, man, I feel that mood right there. That is so on point for this song right there. It just.
So it is what it is, man. Like, you always want it to be better. You wish you could have did blah blah blah. It would have been the biggest thing.
I'm a more objective
record
observer.
the motherfucking and so there's
get it done.
there's the two sides of it, right? Like I wish we could have recorded the bass all in like one natural fucking setting with the same settings just all the way through in
we did
like 2 or
pretty
3
good with
days.
that. We could have done
But
better.
we had like 4 different kinds of bass tracks going on. It was really hard to mix because none of the bass, like, and that's has to be fucking like to get the same kind of mix. That's like the first thing. If that obviously the drums, but like that bass sounds the same and good, you can use that signal to mix it because that's what's going to make or break your record, But I love it, dude. I'm proud of it, and I'm good with it.
Let me I'll kind of say something on that, and then I got one more question for you about the record, and then we'll take a break because I need another drink.
Okay.
Yes, that.
I think a lot of what you guys are talking about is I've experienced this so hard. It's with the way that we make records, being the way that we're like not full time making records, and what you're talking about is how it's made over such a long period of time. It's a thing. It's a momentum thing. And you start to lose the momentum.
Yeah,
and that's what you're talking about. That's what makes it hard to keep and then you don't even like almost later, now it's 2 years later, you're recording vocals. You don't even really remember what your original intent was when you wrote the shit. I've almost
gold star of the day goes to this guy over here because
I want him going into the records that almost killed me. Literally,
I was going to ask you if that's how you feel too, like
100%. So, and that's one of the hardest things to struggle, especially as a singer. I struggle with this making the records the way I used to make them, where I was like doing everything. By the time I got to the vocals, I was over the album. I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, that is,
and that's a hard thing when you're trying to sell it as the singer.
Yeah. Jake asked me up a lot on the lyrics and like the vocal patterns, and he gave me a lot of confidence to go into this thing that it was in fact badass. Like the ideas were like good. Like otherwise, I might have sold on it. You're right. Like I might have personally sold on it. I've been like,
now you're
dude,
rewriting
this is cheese.
shit.
Like now I've got all this fucking imposter syndrome about it, and it has been years, and we haven't practiced them in a room in forever. But we'd read them back. There were demos, so there were like demos. Thank God for those because I fell in love with those too.
I know that's
and I would listen to those a lot
used to do enough of.
And I'd come back around to them as we'd get closer to like finishing up the album, and I'd be like. Yeah, that I remember that feeling that you're talking about. So thank God for the demo. The demo captures a lot more than your ability.
That feeling of what your intent
that's
was
intent.
of the song. Dude.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's your intent.
When you wrote it,
when that comes out,
reminding yourself who
you can't
you were
go back
when
to
you
that.
wrote
You know
it.
what I mean?
Right.
It's definitely. I'm working so much harder now, and I do this so much better now. And I recommend it as you guys go forward. Is to really try to do things like faster and lay down those vocals like now. Like when you write them. Like lay it down now, And that because it really puts you in, like you're talking about, like the performance of it, like it's just like who you are now as you wrote it,
right?
And like it's almost better to have the feeling of it than to try, because I've spent way too much time trying to make things perfect, and it just made it not.
Yeah.
Which
Always.
is what you don't want to do.
Yeah,
you know. So that's what I'm saying. Like retain the feeling of what you're trying to make now.
Yeah.
So that's a big takeaway. That's why I know this. I've been down these roads.
Right.
Is it don't let perfect get in the way of good? Is that the
that's perfect. But it's just weird too, because it's like, man, I do a lot of things, and then like this album's just always been in the back of my mind, like just sitting there, like fuck. There's all this work already.
Hate leaving things undone. I just hate leaving things undone.
And then when it came to like
100%,
when everything was recorded, and then I'm just like, look at this fucking mountain to climb that I have to mix this fucking thing that it's already been nagging me for 4 years.
But now that it's off your chest,
you got the weight.
And what's also crazy is the next thing you do, whether it be more, it doesn't matter. The next, but now that this one's done and it's out and it's finished, how much better the next one will be right off the bat.
And we're looking
all of the things.
And we're looking at a lot of wide open pastures too, because this is something that's we're kind of shelving, indefinitely if that's what it is. But it's we're looking at all kinds of musical opportunity going forward and saying, okay, we've been doing death metal for like 25 years, and like this is a good place to kind of hang the hat, as it were. We haven't been in the same room to practice music in years, and that's fine. Circumstances are what they are, and life is what it is. We're doing things, but we're not like really making this like a priority because other things have come along, and it is what it is. Like we love it. It's a niche market, and we have fun with it. And it was almost like group therapy every Saturday morning. But now we've kind of all got other things going on, and that kind of commitment starts to look differently. It starts to look a little different when you get to a point in your life where you're like, well, that's more of a commitment that I don't really want to take on right now.
Yeah,
if the music's done, I'm happy with it. I don't need to go out and rep it again. We already played 6 out of 8 of those songs live, and we recorded that. So we we did it. And I thought we did it well then, and then we recorded them in a form that maintains permanence, which I'm huge on. I'm like, man, we're going for permanence here. So like, I don't care if we simplify
they don't need to be performed because we're only a 3-piece, and the textures and shit are
layer it up, man. Throw a keyboard on there, throw another guitar on there that doesn't exist. I don't care. Like harmonize it, just go in on it, and make it a good song. And we did that, and like going forward, there's whatever we want to do, and giving ourselves, the ability to just have patience with our writing. Like it took a lot of patience to get this thing out. It was a long project. I have to tell Jay all the time, like talk him off the ledge a little bit. Like, hey man, shelve it. Don't fuck with it. Like I don't care. There's no timeline.
Oh, I have it. I literally didn't like when it was
and I didn't badger him about it whatsoever.
It literally
I was like,
sat there. I could have edited drums, bro. I could have did a lot of shit, but it's that whole like intent thing. Like I didn't. What would a bunch of edited drums do for me? It pissed me off even more because it's just sitting there. You know what I mean?
and you don't want it.
I ain't put more work into it until I know it's
fun. That's what I've moved on to, just trying to make it all fun. All right, so here's the last question I want to add, which you kind of already answered.
Okay,
do you think that this is the best record that you guys have made?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm happy with all the songs. Like, I mean, I'm really proud of everything we've done as a catalog. And I'll let you say what you need to say on that. And I do want to say one thing, and I know we want to take a quick break. I do want to say one quick thing. I just thought it was interesting on this album the way we wrote the lyrics, because I actually named all of the songs of what I wanted to name them.
Yeah.
Just as like scratch tracks, right?
Yeah, like I already said, hey, I want to name
instrumental
these songs
pieces, but these
because
are the working titles
that I'm writing and we're writing, and these pieces we're putting together. Yeah. This is what it says. So then he takes those song titles and he writes lyrics to them.
I do that too. That's a great writing
I told him, I was
like,
I mean, these are the premises I want, but a few of them he kind of twisted his own way.
Sure.
Which was
there's duality all over the album.
Which for
makes it even better.
Yeah, which for me at first I was like, man, it doesn't come across the way I want it to, but then I'm just like, you know what, man? I just love the way it can be interpreted. Yeah,
we were
it's
saying earlier about getting different ears in the room, like
exactly.
a little different spin on
that.
So
like the title to me still means what the song means, but the way he wrote it, in the aspect he wrote it, was kind of something different. You know what I mean? It didn't happen a lot though. It only happened like twice, but it was just like the way he approached it was something I would have never went for. But that's why I let him do that.
Yeah,
because he's good at that. I can name some shit,
Jay
but that's
would
all you're gonna
express
get
an
out of me.
idea
You know?
like this is the song title. This is kind of what I'm going for. This is the intent that I want, and then I would think about that intent, and then I would try to give that intent some subject matter, right? So now I'm starting to influence just his idea with something to sing about. So now I'm just kind of burying his intent in allegory and metaphor, and I'm just picking like whatever my interest is, whatever I want to speak to, I would kind of come at whatever Jay was, suggesting to me, and everything's got like this ominous kind of like existential.
It's all death.
It's all about death. It's all about like kind of like
it's
just
called
being,
Embrace the Void. That's what the album's called. So
like, I don't think that's changing.
Embrace the Void. You know.
Yeah.
What
So
I'm saying?
every
You all
song is
gotta do
about
it.
every song is about just kind of facing death or the topic of death on every subject. And I know it's macabre, and people don't really like to think about that sort of thing. But at some point we all do.
Metal album. What are you talking
Yeah, exactly.
about?
What the fuck else would I write about? Like, it would be insane not to write about death on every
metal
single
song ever's about.
So that was fun because it instead of just like, and everybody does it. If you're going to write that sort of thing, you just have to make it meaningful to you. So we would talk about things that mattered to us. In conversations, and then we would bring them to life more, whether it's anxiety about our ambitions and about our future, and just kind of facing down, like, you're getting older. Are you satisfied? Do you like your life? Because it's going this way.
Yep.
This is what it is. You happy? So we would face down some of these fears and emotions and just try to put like a real, as close as we could to a real like feel into the death metal album, right? Like there's your Cannibal Corpse and your Deicide, and it's kind of like, well, that's
It's a
good
death
music.
metal album with heart.
Yeah, a little bit, like like.
I mean, we'll always put soul into our shit. We ain't just doing shit to do shit. We've always had melodic aspects. We've always had, you know what I mean? Because our favorite shit, is heavy, but we just don't want like grindcore, noisy shit. That's not really our objective.
I mean,
we've always wanted to have riffs and melody and shit.
Yeah, we kind of have done a lot of that stuff anyway, and I mean, it's not like too terribly heartfelt. We're not singing and holding hands on this album. In fact, I'd be damned if there's a clean vocal on this album. I don't know.
Are you on acid right
I'm
now?
not seeing anything.
I thought we shared a story before the podcast.
That shit just kicks in.
Yeah, I think we should take a break. I think that's our cue to take a break, ain't it? Get some fresh air.
I'm looking over.
For
It looks
real.
like a pretty clean sweatshirt.
Yeah,
to me,
I
bro.
know,
It's
bro.
like, what the fuck?
Crawling on me. I just want to say thanks for having me on here, man.
Yeah, well, this is the last time. So
Okay.
Never again.
Well,
one more time, and then we're done.
okay.
We're done here.
That's cool.
Much like Infinite Design, we're putting it on the shelf.
Put it on the back burner.
Oh, your
See me
band's
in
done?
2027, maybe.
No reason to have you on.
I want to have before we fucking get into the news here. I want to have you and my good friend Nick Hagan, who was kind of an Uber producer as well, and have you guys together because like he's a
No.
killer producer too. And
I'm not fucking coming back on here after that shit.
I thought we were done here.
Burning
You
bridge.
can't just open this relationship back up after that, motherfucker. No, I'm down, bro.
Yeah.
I'm down to come out anytime. I appreciate you having me out or let me sneak on here on your
Same.
podcast, Nick.
Same. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
you're
having me on my own podcast. It's not my own show, but thank you for
Yeah,
having me
yeah.
on your show.
Yeah, I didn't mean
do
to
this
sneak in
podcast.
here, but I just thought maybe it would be appropriate.
You're
I
such a
don't know.
natural. Imagine having me on here by myself doing all the talking. I don't think it'd be half as
Hundreds
cool.
of thousands of listeners out there to perform for you.
Yeah,
I dream.
Pressure's intense,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
You guys should make me a part of the show permanently, and we'll just have Jay on as a guest regularly, semi-frequently. Is there news?
You know,
So Ross.
so
That's
bad.
it's natural.
I walk down the street. People often say to me, I don't feel like I know what's happening in the
Yeah.
world.
It's tough to keep caught up on current events these days. We're pulled in so many directions with the social medias and the Twitters and the MySpaces and
I just
whatnot,
wish there was a trusted news source,
Yeah.
a bipartisan.
a Dan Rather-esque source of prestigious and untainted news you can really hang your hat on,
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Someone we could trust, you know?
Yeah.
And there's only really one place that we can turn.
Indeed there is.
The Dangerville Podcast presents News of the World.
Yes. All right. We're off and running here.
After 10 minutes.
10 terrible, terrible minutes. All right. So we got a little bit of news to catch up on. We were doing
After 10 minutes, he's got a little bit of news.
We were doing the
I'm sorry,
Halloween
bro.
special last week, right?
Oh,
So we got to
okay.
get people caught
Okay,
up on
I
some
got
huge
you.
events that
All
happened
right, let's
before.
hear it.
So first up on the docket from a while back, Hurricane Rosalind made landfall in Mexico about a week and a half, 2 weeks back. Did you see this? Did you hear about this?
No,
Not
yeah,
at
never
all.
even heard about it.
Nope.
So as of a couple Sundays back, the local media reported only 2 deaths of people, which is unfortunate, but, you know, in the grand scheme of hurricanes,
That
not too bad. So the
sucks.
deaths of 2 people after taking shelter in unstable structures that collapsed during the storm. Yeah. The deaths were later attributed to the shoddy work of unlicensed Mexican roofers and not the storm itself, though, in the structure. So
I was going to say, it sounds like not the storm's fault.
Yeah, I was
Stats were a
gonna
little
say-
sketchy
I was
on
going to
this
say
one, yeah.
there's definitely some blame
Yeah, but
there
fortunately,
somewhere to
the,
be placed.
The winds dissipated. They hit a peak of 130 miles an hour, so they were ripping pretty good there. Got down to 35, and Rosalind was downgraded to a tropical storm. San Blas Mayor Jose Antonio Barajas noted, "We are extremely grateful the severity of the storm has lessened so we can refocus our efforts on far more dangerous threats to Mexico, such as the lackluster comedy of George Lopez."
Drum roll. You didn't find the drum roll or rim shot?
Rosalind,
That's not it. Go, Cuba, go.
Rosalind did cause a fair number of problems in the Nayarit state capital of Tepic. Authorities asked residents to avoid going out that Sunday. Crews are working to clear up multiple landslides blocking local highways. Curiously, the landslides were mapped to the exact route of a Dave Matthews tour bus spotted just in the area down there.
Bringing it back.
Shit
Felt like
dumpers.
it's been a little bit since we got
Yeah.
used some terrible Dave Matthews material there.
Yeah, you have to know what's going on with that one.
Yeah.
Shit dumpers.
That was a lot of work to get to a George Lopez.
Yeah, you know what's funny too? Is
It's like
like
taking the long way around there.
I felt like that was just one long story too.
I was
Like,
taking
are we
this-
still talking about
I was
whole
taking
weather?
a scenic tour in Mexico, dude.
No, I felt it. I liked it. That's great.
If I'm gonna have a lackluster joke, I'm gonna at least waste your time in addition to not entertaining you in the process of getting there.
Oh, I'm
setup.
thoroughly entertained. Keep me going.
Yeah, the setup. That's
All right,
what it's
boys,
all
ready for
about, my
round
brother.
2 here?
Yeah, hit me harder.
We're gonna get right
That's
to
it.
it this time.
Pull my
right to the
hair.
point.
Call me
Pop my
daddy.
little packs in here. So a Kansas mom gets 20 years for leading an all-female Islamic State battalion.
Oh.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Wow.
Allison Fluke Ekren admitted that she led a battalion of 100 women and girls, some as young as 10, and taught them how to use automatic weapons and detonate grenades and suicide
Nope.
belts. Like
Nope.
legit,
Shut that down.
Islamic Training Center. Unfortunately, despite countless hours of training, she was unable to teach her female followers how to be good drivers, kill a spider without the help of a male counterpart, or get ready in a timely fashion when preparing for a night out on the town.
Oh my
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Failures as a teacher are indeed shocking. Right?
The grenades are one thing.
Go, Jerry.
Hitting his own sounder.
Give myself some love, baby. Positive self-talk. It's what I'm telling you.
Funny
That's
thing,
gonna
it
get
was
us
just
through.
as late as when he did it the last time.
You want to be able to disguise those terrorist intents. So yeah, the school definitely failed them on that
Yeah,
on that
dude.
front.
All right. So companies try to lure hourly workers with college tuition perks to help combat low employment numbers.
Okay, yeah.
So tons of people are struggling to get employment right now, or to hire employees right now. Like people are getting that free government cashish, that free sweet government
cheese.
cheddar.
Still
Nobody can
still
find
are?
workers. Yeah.
They're still getting that.
They still
I
are?
don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
I ain't getting none.
Who the fuck's
Wow.
getting that?
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
I don't know, but they're trying to lure.
I thought everybody was homeless now.
This is it's either homeless or unwilling to work, one of the two. But so they're trying to do
Silently
this whole
quitting.
thing with like
Fucking straight up quit a motherfucker.
I'll quit out loud, motherfucker.
well, they're trying to incentivize these people with college tuition perks, right? But surprisingly, like college tuition reimbursement is not doing the job. It's been ineffective in attracting young employees. A lot of experts think that it's the narrow breadth of courses that they offer for reimbursement. So a lot of companies are putting together like a big panel of expert recruiters to weigh in with different ideas. So first up, they had Ghislaine Maxwell, who suggested broadening reimbursement eligibility to skilled trades such as massage therapy. Maybe even offering to pay for student housing on a private island.
Sure.
So that's one
sense.
option that's thrown out there. Jerry Sandusky noted they had success incentivizing kids with access to collegiate training facilities like locker rooms and showers at Penn State.
Sounds like something Jerry would support.
Good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Another effective way to lure those workers there.
From a
And
young
finally,
age.
Jared Fogle suggested an even simpler tactic, noting, if you need to convince kids to perform jobs they'd rather not, why not try candy?
Oh,
Bring it back to basics.
Always coming with the Jared Fogle.
Yeah, Fogle's a mainstay.
You got nothing on R. Kelly on that?
I'm mixing a Sandusky there. He's kind of peppering some new material.
Haven't heard about him for a minute.
He's also been dead for many years. Running
Is he
the joke
dead?
Pointless.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, hung himself in prison.
Oh,
Air
yeah,
quotes,
that's right. Okay, yeah, Epstein. Yeah,
Indeed.
he got Sandusky.
Yeah, dude. Sandusky himself apparently.
Epstein
It's a
got
whole thing. Yeah.
Sandusky.
All right,
More
so
conspiracy
roaches
theories.
spoil Halloween for Detroit neighborhood. Yeah. The least
make
shocking,
any
funny even
the least
thinking
shocking
about
news
that.
of them all, yeah.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Yeah. But a cockroach infestation in a vacant house has been spreading to other homes in the area, and the entire street was shut down for trick-or-treating, trying to prevent further infestation. So the city is working to exterminate the roaches. City engineer Greg Mayhew said, quote, "It will take some time." City of Detroit has also been considering a shutdown of Ford Field to prevent the infestation of terrible football from spreading to local high schools in the area, as similar efforts to exterminate the problematic lions have been equally ineffective to date.
Wow,
That needs the drum. Where's the drum, dog?
Nice.
Yeah, can a brother get a rim
Drum.
shot? No, it's terrible. too.
Yeah, how sorry.
It's terrible. It was not hail worthy.
No, yeah, I got to label these up.
But by the way, fuck these kids. Dude. They had one Halloween day ruined. The Lions have been ruining my life every Sunday since I've been 3 years old.
Yeah, no,
Seriously.
I've given up. I can't watch them. It's disgusting.
Some bullshit.
It's a
Better
real,
use of
it's
my
a real
time.
masochistic desire, dude.
Yeah,
It's
no,
watching
I
Lions.
can't.
It's a fucking.
I think it's that thing about just having the hope. Like, I don't even watch football, so it don't really matter to me, but I see all my friends every Sunday in tears.
There's no hope.
In
left.
tears.
Lots
There's
of grown
no
men
hope.
in tears.
Yeah.
We're like
Every
beating
Sunday.
housewives at this point.
And,
Coming home with a black eye every
yeah.
Sunday.
Something
It's like,
weird.
oh, he'll never do it again.
Yeah, but
weird
at the, end of
attachment.
at the end of the season, it's like, man, we'll get some good draft picks. Next year's going to be our year, man.
It's going to be our year. No one
Every
ain't.
fucking year, y'all
No, it
say that
ain't.
Yeah,
shit.
some emotional
Wait.
attachment to some other dudes playing some game you could never play for money you'll never see.
And
I'm
they're
like,
only
why
going to play
am I
for
watching
4
this
total
for 4
years
fucking
anyway,
hours?
You know when
because
it
then
really
they'll be
started to
brain
get
dead
weird?
after that, unfortunately.
So I'm like
Unfortunately.
38, which is ancient in NFL. So when you get
Oh,
up
yeah,
to that
you
age and
wouldn't-
you're watching dudes that are younger than you, it's like, I can't fucking
I
live
couldn't
and
care
die by this
less.
shit.
Yeah,
With some
I couldn't
26-year-old kid running around.
Yeah,
I'm
this
like,
dude's
fuck
a
this.
millionaire running out there playing catch. Like,
Yeah.
it's I like watching football. It's
I was
a
going
good
to say, that's
game,
your
but
shit, ain't it?
yeah, but I ain't watched a minute of it this year. I have better use of my time. I fucking don't waste my not a minute, man. I
You're
don't
not
have,
missing much on Sundays.
no,
for a
like I
Lions fan,
watched the
brother,
Hard
that much
Knocks.
gotta
I
show you,
watched the
yeah.
Hard Knocks on HBO on the Lions, and I was intrigued. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what. They had 1 year to fuck around, and they sucked.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just wait, sit back, and watch, and see what they do this year. 1-6. Here we are. I'm like, I'm glad I ain't watched one of these fucking games. Fuck these losers.
Everybody's
Like,
been drinking the Kool-Aid, man. I had so many buddies after Hard Knocks just going, oh, love this coaching staff.
Yeah, this
Love
coaching
it.
staff
This
is
is gonna
gritty.
be the year,
They
man.
bite
No.
kneecaps.
We got dominant offensive line. It's like, you sick motherfuckers. You guys, should know better by
suck.
now.
You guys are
sick
half
sons of
NFL
bitches.
talent. You suck. It's so tragic. Like that you call yourself a football team.
Just
I hate. What I really hate is the fan base though. They really buy in hook, line, and sinker every year. This is our year. We're gonna get
Oh, yeah,
this
dude.
year. And you're like, guys, let's push pause on that. Let's actually all stop watching them as fans for like 5 years. Fuck them. See what they do, and then when they don't get a dime of our money, like put a win. I'm so sick of watching the money go out the window for a losing product. I mean, it sickens me. Like if man,
Fans getting tummy aches off slugging that
Wow.
Lions
Yeah.
Kool-Aid year.
Give me
Yeah,
some
this-
medicine.
I know,
Fuck this.
I don't really
diabetes and
care
shit,
at all.
so-
That's
I'm
turned
over
into
it.
ESPN After Hours with fucking Nick Pod on the
spew.
yeah. Like,
Fuck it. Thanks for the Lions joke.
Well,
Triggered.
this turned into the Butt Rush fucking After Hours podcast or whatever show you watch on
So we're gonna
HBO or
break
whatever
down the
fuck you're
nickel
talking about.
defense tendencies of the Lions this year. On third down next year.
Do you want to segue? Is there more news? Fuck the Lions.
there's
Oh, we do
Mortys.
indeed have Mortys. There's always
Oh,
Mortys.
yeah, you had to
Good
get-
luck. Good
yeah,
luck,
you had to
Lions.
get caught up, so you're doing 2 weeks worth
It's
of
a
news
never-ending
anyway.
supply of lackluster, unentertaining
I'm
news. All right.
so anxious for the next story.
So Ice-T. Ice-T, boys. Of
Yes.
Leprechaun
Speaking of
5,
fan.
Lep in the Hood fame.
Big
that
fan.
you may have
That's
seen.
exactly where I know him from.
Yeah, he's opening a pot shop in New Jersey.
Body count.
Yeah.
Who isn't?
So it's a pretty cool story. He's trying to prioritize hires that have had prior drug convictions, right? So dudes that have had a tough time getting a job and busted for drugs before, that's who he's trying to hire. The first former convict Ice-T is looking to hire to employ there is himself. Yeah.
Rim shot.
However,
Missed
not
it.
everyone is a fan of this approach, notably Ice-T Detective's character in Law & Order, who chastises his business plan, noting that we spent more than 20 years trying to lock up these scumbag drug dealers just like this.
God damn it.
It's the worst Ice-T impression.
That is Mike Tyson.
That's more
God
Mike
damn
Tyson. I
it.
was just going to say.
What the fuck? Have you watched SVU?
I did No, bro, have you?
Yes, that's a great show.
Law & Order, the SUV.
Me either. Yeah, me. Definitely not, dude. I'm
you're
definitely
not-
not watching that show.
No, it's a great show. All right, keep going with
I
the
get all
news.
those
I'm sorry, I'm
mystery
rude.
motherfuckers mixed up, dude. It all just becomes some like menagerie of
You know,
Tarantino.
There's not
Mike
a lot of
Tyson,
difference between
Ice-T.
a Tyson and an Ice-T, and Ice-T is just a little less egregious than a Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
in the
okay,
accent.
fair.
It is hilarious how much he lisps.
Ice-T goes in, though. I love him. I love his new work.
He's
There was
the
a
man.
there was
Body
a movie
count.
called The Game or Hunting the Game or something like that. Like that movie's sweet as fuck. Where he was like a bum and they like took him off the street and paid him money and then they like hunted him.
Hunting the most dangerous game
yeah.
of all.
Fucking
Is that the one
badass.
with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No.
That's the
Same thing, though.
same
That's
premise,
probably
I
part.
guess, yeah.
That's probably part 2 that he did when he needed money in like 2017.
Ice-T scraping the bottom of the barrel, baby.
Not Ice-T. That was Van Damme. He needed that.
Oh,
Van Damme.
Ice-T had that SVU money or SUV
Ice-T
money.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Fat
he's
paid.
never really had to sell out because if you can afford to go out there and do another body count album, like you're doing okay. Like if you could put time into something,
Dude,
that's
he's
not
living
gonna
fat
be,
off that
Off
Lep
Lep
5
in the Hood,
Lep in the
dude.
Hood
There
money.
it is.
Yeah, yeah,
See
yeah.
it? Leprechaun
He's got that
fan.
long money.
He's on. Isn't he on the new
Weapons
He's got
fucking?
that Lep 5.
On the
Hey,
new Megadeth.
new Megadeth.
He's got that
He
Megadeth.
is
out.
on the new
Yeah.
Megadeth.
Call
There's
it
Dave
out.
Mustaine. He's
Yeah.
back again.
7 degrees of separation. Dave Mustaine podcast.
They're apparently super tight, dude. They're boys. You imagine
Yeah.
Ice-T and Mustaine just kicking it, walking down the sidewalk
That's
in
a
LA or some
podcast
shit,
that needs
dude.
to happen.
All right. So Delta Air settles with a pilot who raised safety concerns. So rather than go to trial after pilot Carlene Pettit raised concerns that Delta forced her to undergo psychiatric examination and barred her from flying in retaliation for her raising concerns to company executives. So basically, like, she fucking went to spew all the company
Whistleblower?
secrets. People are flying unsafe.
Whistleblower.
Yeah,
Whistleblower.
whistleblower, dude.
Yep.
So among other pieces of evidence, Carlene submitted several black box recordings from her flights with powerful audio, capturing her male co-pilots telling her that she missed the turn back there while politely grabbing the steering wheel and trying to get them back on course as she was doing her makeup in the mirror. Yeah.
You really don't like women
Man.
drivers.
It's really going off today.
Yeah. He was late to the podcast. Some bitch in front of him
It
probably.
was a slow news day. It was a slow news day. Yeah.
In conclusion, women can't drive.
yeah. That was the last 2 weeks of news was women can't fucking drive still.
Indeed.
You're getting thrown out of the next plane you're in by a woman.
So my next story is about female Asian drivers.
And the next cab you get in.
Somehow
Just
this is
kidding.
real, right?
Great drivers. It's all for the jokes. It's all for the
I love
gigs.
it.
I love
Yeah.
women. All my women friends out there. Shout out.
All the ones with licenses.
You know what's up. Love y'all.
All the ones that are legal.
Which pride descended. I got one more, but it's terrible.
Let's
They've
do it.
all
Let's-
been terrible.
let's
Should we
have
do
it.
it? Should
Let's
we roll
have it.
through?
Let's
All right.
do it.
We're already
We're
this
here,
deep in.
bro. We're
Uh-huh.
here.
I feel like this should be the lowest hanging fruit, and I had nothing for it.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I did nothing
wobbly,
for
so
any of
I-
these, in fairness. All right.
Let's see what we can come up with.
So Escape King Cobra crawls back to Swedish terrarium.
Oh.
A venomous king cobra had escaped from a Swedish zoo, slithered back home on its own accord, bringing a happy ending to an over week-long disappearance saga. This was great news to all parties concerned, save for the Indian snake charmer who was contracted to help lead the Cobra back safely, who wondered aloud, how the hell is a guy supposed to get paid and make an honest buck these days? Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad.
All right, my joke on that would be G.I. Joe is on high alert. Cobra Commander or whatever.
Cobra. Could have been
Cobra. Off the cuff. Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah.
Could have been Cobra Kai.
Cobra Commander.
Should have been
I like
Cobra
it.
Kai.
I like
On a
it.
related note, the saga
Cobra
of a
Kai.
corduroy cobra that also escaped during a Swedish massage had a happy ending. Returned safely to its home.
Corduroy Cobra. I
Let
just
the
got that.
let the record show that I thanked Sven for his efforts and tipped him generously.
Oh,
I was
man.
gonna go just that one. I should have cut the
Hey, that's got to be the last news because at least it closed it on a happy ending.
Well,
You know?
happy ending.
Corduroy
The one and
Cobra
only of that
has to be
segment,
the name of a new band.
Corduroy
That's the new
Cobra.
side project.
Yeah.
Is Corduroy Cobra. I might have to change my rap name to that, dude. That's
Corduroy
might be the
Cobra.
best rap name in the history.
I got like a
Pretty strong rap.
I got a list of backup band names. Nothing I want to lean into is like my primary band, but I'm like, this would be fun if I had like a
yeah,
a
but are
large
they
project.
funny?
Yeah, I mean, like,
That's my list of backup
well,
band names is fun.
yeah, they relate to something gratuitous, like, oh, this is my next black metal
I feel like
grindcore project.
You guys
is going to
aren't
be called.
loving on Corduroy Cobra quite enough. I think that's the greatest
Actually,
band
I
name of all
don't.
time.
I haven't expressed my gratitude for how much I love that statement.
That
I think
is-
it's the
come
greatest
on.
idea
Is
ever
that
in
not the
history.
best?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I'm there with you.
Or get some fucking huge motherfucker with a fro coming out and being Corduroy Cobra.
Corduroy
Corduroy
Cobra
Cobra.
is like this century's Iron Butterfly. Like,
Yeah.
I'm Corduroy Cobra. It needs to be a new
it's like soft
character.
and edgy at the same time. It works. It's like that audience is built in already. There's
Nope.
Cobra.
The greatest, it's literally is one of my favorite things is to come up with fucking fake band names, like funny band names. The best one I've ever heard that I think is the funniest one ever is The Diarrhea of Anne Frank.
Oh, good.
That to me is the funniest fake punk rock band name of all time.
Dude, that list of alternate rapper MC names we cooked up. Oh, man.
are the diarrhea of Anne Frank.
The Diarrhea of Anne Frank. Come on. It's clever on so many levels.
That's good material.
We have a list, like probably, it's literally like 75 rapper names.
Oh, you brainstormed it?
Dude,
It's pretty
so
goddamn funny,
preposterous.
dude. Yeah.
But you spent all that time in Corduroy Cobra here out of
It's
the
the
blue
best
is
one.
the best
It's the
one
best
yet.
one of them all.
Best
It's
one
the
yet.
best one of
See
them all.
that?
On a
That's
whim.
just-
Spent
yep.
decades
Yes.
deliberating terrible
that
fucking rap
spontaneous
names, dude. Goddamn, that's
creativity with
It
the
is,
group.
man.
Yeah,
That group energy.
It's always like that weird. It's that
yeah.
weird thing too. Like sometimes, like you can spend like 4 hours working on a track, and like you're still working on it. You're just like, what the fuck's going on? And some days you can just bang out something in like 15 minutes. That's like one of the dopest things you put out in forever. So it's just like that's just how creativity works. But when you make music, like, do you have the melody in your head and then you sit down and do it? Because like I've been finding like a lot of people do that. And like I've never done that. Like I always have this intention
All
to
the time.
sit down
Yeah.
and write something.
No,
I
I-
never ever have like, oh, I
No,
was
I
sitting here
definitely-
thinking beat about to do.
No, I definitely do, but what's funny is, like, having it in your
never
head
fucking do that.
and not being able to like transpire it like when you sit down and play. Now I'm not a virtuoso musician, but like I can play, basic things, and like if I hear something in my head, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be like some excitable like pull off riff off the E or the low drop D string or something, whatever. You just find out what you got when you're like listening to it in your head, and then you put that thought to your fretboard, and you kind of find out like how well that transpires. Like how well do you know your music theory and your fretboard at that moment, because that idea might not come out exactly the way you're hearing it in your
I
head.
feel
You're
like
like,
it
what am
never
I
does.
hearing in my head that is different? Like,
That's okay.
I'll like hear it in my head, and I'll be like, okay, so in my head, there's a little more on it than what I'm presenting right now. So I need to find out how I can shape this with a little bit more to it than this basic structure that I first came up with. So I'll move into like making something very simple in my head. Like what I hear in my head, I'll present it simply at first, and then complicate it after that to see if I can like really carry it out the way that I'm hearing it.
Is that how you do it?
Oh,
definitely hear things.
man. I mean, there's so many different ways.
But is that a way? Like you'll be sitting there and you have some melody in your head? Like I know it's different
Like,
too because you
from
write a lot of
scratch?
vocal melodies.
The first thing I'm always trying to do is I'm usually always trying to bring in more cowbell. So that's the start. It really depends, dude. Like it for me, it's all like project dependent. It's what like I'm presented with. Like if you're talking about maybe starting from scratch.
I'm just
with a
saying, like
melody.
you're just sitting
Sure,
here, right,
yeah.
watching TV, or you're in the shower and
Yeah.
whatever. And
Well,
you're like,
I'll
oh, I
do-
got this melody in my head, and I got to go try to lay it down.
yeah.
Like that's never fucking once ever happened to me. I've
Really?
had cool dreams
Wow.
of like being able to like play something sweet and like wake up and I'll never remember it because it was a dream. And
I'll
I
do
was way
full
better.
on like
but
songs like into the notes on my phone. Like if a melody does come to me, or sometimes if it's a riff or whatever, I'll
That's
just
something I
sing
want
it
to do
into my
more
phone.
of. Yeah.
But I have whole things, but like it's almost more like hearing the whole song. So I'll literally go, all right, the melody is this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll go, the beat is this,
right.
and then I'll go, keyboards come in, like
Right.
I'll literally like sing like every part.
Oh.
Of what I think the song should be. That's one way of doing it. It all depends on what you're doing. So like the stuff I'm working on now with the industrial guys, that's more like he presents like just a bunch of fucking shit and I'll chop it up into what I think a song should be, and then I'll go in. Most of the time now it's really just going in and recording as a singer the first idea. Like, so I'll just cue it up and I'll just fucking turn it on and I'll just start kind of like scatting bullshit words. So I'm just coming up
just getting a melody and a
coming
rhythm.
up with a
Yeah,
melody.
yeah.
So and trying to capture that on the first take and kind of sticking to that. But then
And the quickest way of doing it too, probably just vocally for you, right? Just like you don't have to grab a guitar and set all that up. You just get on a mic, flip it on, and start going with a melody.
Yeah. So if it's like what am I trying to do? Or if it's like what I was doing with Holloway, it was like I'm writing everything from the ground up, essentially playing more or less everything. So
But
it's
you
like,
started with a guitar riff on that, though?
on that stuff, it was starting. That stuff was kind of written on the guitar. It was like here's
Yeah.
me on guitar. What I
So
like
you
to
knew
do
what
now,
to follow after the guitar.
Yeah.
basically.
So I would write the songs on guitar. Doing that, now I more prefer to start with a rhythm, and essentially because so much of what I'm doing now is like again electronic bass, it's not real drums.
But did
and
those
shit,
guitar
so-
parts come from the mind first, and then you picked up the
Yeah,
guitar?
that's kinda where-
Or did you sit down,
No.
pick up the guitar, and then start riffing and be like,
Yeah.
yes, that riff. Oh shit, hit
That's
record.
where I'm at.
And I know it's like it's riff farming, so I'd have certain things, and then I was really good at remembering, like, oh well, that could go with this, and like this is the same tempo, these
No,
are the same keys.
I would write a song in one
So-
sitting almost, and not to interrupt you, Ross, but to answer your question, like I might be inspired by a riff in my head. I'll be like, oh man, I want to go and try and like duplicate or replicate this right now, like downstairs. But that inspiration might lead to something totally different. My mood might shift altogether.
That's perfect. That's
and
what
then,
you want.
And then go into
Yeah.
something even like better and not. Or like totally unrelated, just go into another riff and be like, oh wait, now we're really on to something here. So and then that kind of goes to what you're saying, where you just pick up the instrument and start riffing.
Okay.
Like I might be inspired to play my guitar or my bass based on something that I've been thinking of, like in my head, like oh shit, like just like just struck with the electricity of creativity, right? You're just like moved, like oh man, I'm vibing to some sound in my head. I got to get it out.
Yeah,
and-
like because I hear a lot of I listen to a lot of musicians, producers, stuff like that, and they talk about I just have this little melody, so I had to go kick it out on the beat machine or whatever real quick, and it's just like that's interesting to me because I feel like every time, and I've been doing music for as long as I can remember now, shit. So like, it's always been a task where it's like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and fucking make something right now.
Yeah.
And whatever comes out is what the fuck comes out. You know what I mean? But I've also put in hours of
healthy.
practice
Yes.
to know
And
that
it's-
shit.
Right.
But that's what I do. I just go into everything with an intention.
You know that you
but-
can trust yourself
right.
to do that,
And I'm
that's-
just like,
that's
this is
what's
my time to
fun.
do this.
So what I
You
do
know?
now, because I hardly even like play guitar anymore. It's almost because I've just like was kind of bored with the guitar. So no, I could fucking write a book about like different ways to approach shit.
Right.
Well, it's like start one of the ways if you're uninspired or you have quote unquote writer's block, which isn't real.
I subscribe to that.
I don't ever have that.
No, it's bullshit. That's a bullshit.
Because I sit down with intent, so I'm not like have anything in mind.
I'm just saying there's tricks to get you going, and one of my favorite tricks is being bored with the guitar.
Starting
is,
a project.
I don't know what I'm doing on a keyboard, so I'm going to write everything now starting with a keyboard.
Yeah, I was going to say starting a project.
Or do that. Or like, okay, I'm not doing real drums. I'm going to do what can I do for electronic drums or vice versa. Or like,
even if with the guitar, it's like, man, you can just approach it in so many different ways and just try something you've never tried before. Even, know, like you have to think about that, and that will lead to a whole nother inspiration.
One of my favorite things was doing, if something's not working, like let's say you're trying to like write a song and you're like, what's the next part or whatever, and you can't find it or whatever, is do the exact opposite of that idea and see what I get. So it's like, I was going to go and do a super heavy riff, but I'm not finding it or whatever. Like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't do that. Maybe it goes the exact opposite direction.
Hit
and
the
drops
cleans.
way down and or whatever.
Break it down.
Like, so
if all else fails, let's go and catch a nice beat, clear the pipes, clear the mind, gentlemen.
The ideas will burst into the...
I think with the whole writer's block thing, too, it's like, just work through it. Like yesterday, I've been on fire making some tracks lately, and yesterday I sat down just to make some tracks and be creative and listen to some stuff, and I listened to some stuff, and this one thing I wanted it to be like a boom bap hip hop type thing, and it just wasn't happening. Like the melody, it was just not working, and I just changed the BPM to something totally different or whatever. I'm like, okay, now it works. I'm like, all right, now this is sounding the way I was intending it to sound, but it's a totally different. I had to change the rhythm, all this shit, change everything about it. Almost, I just kept the melody because I made the melody and I liked it. So it's just like, I think with the writer's block thing is like, but then after that I was trying to do some other things that just wasn't coming to me, but I just kept trying. I wasn't like whatever, like you can do that and put it down, but you can't just be like, I haven't wrote anything in weeks. It's not like, no, because you're lazy,
you're not
motherfucker.
trying.
Like,
not sitting
fuck
down,
that,
you're not
because after 2 days, because tomorrow
not doing the work,
I will go
That's
downstairs and bang out probably 4 or 5 heaters. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that's what I'm going to do. You're going to have those days like that, and you're just going to be like, it is what it is.
Put the hard
like,
hat on, grab the fucking lunch pail, and go to work.
It is. It literally is.
Like I worked it out, and I got it worked out, and I was kind of happy with it. But I visited a few other projects, and it just wasn't coming to me. And I was like, all right, well, it's just not today's.
And
not
it's
today,
also fine too.
Yeah,
and that's but
I gave it my go. So I just think
if
it's
you sit down,
giving
the
it
muse
your
will
go,
meet you
bro.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes some of those projects come out really nice because of the amount of work that you keep putting into them to break through that writer's block. Like sometimes I'll come up with something super simple and that's fine, and I'll just ride that out to the next riff. Sometimes I'll get stuck and I'm like, well, maybe we need something really like detailed right here. So we need to play this like 100 times until we know like, how are we coming out of this? Does it roll right into the next thing? Do I just completely stop here as an instrument? Like my part's over and then we go to bass, drums, and vocals and keyboard. Like really like step back a couple of steps and look at your project objectively and say, this part maybe doesn't even have a next part to that part of the song. And that's something I've really been trying to focus on lately when I look at like writing a song is, okay, I started from like this instrument, but maybe this instrument just stops for like a long ass rest, like until like the whole of the verse is over. And that's something I've been trying to like, implement into any kind of songwriting is just say, yeah, we're done here. We're done. Next, like get your bass or get your vocal line going up because there's just nowhere to go sometimes. Like with some riff, there's just like, this is so convoluted. I can't like I know what maybe the next melody or chord progression should be. Like I know where I want to go, but maybe like this instrument doesn't really belong there, and we need something else to kind of like take up that space instead.
Yeah, I think fucking Tool are the masters of that shit in their later career of getting out of each other's way. It's like, I really feel like half of their songs are like, one guy's got something really killer and the other guys just don't know what to do. So they're like, they're just like, I'm just going to let him play this thing
for like 3 minutes.
That explains 17-minute long songs for sure.
Yeah. But then it's my turn for 3 minutes to play this cool thing.
It was what you're speaking on is having that objectivity to be like, even as a player, if you're all in a room together, like I'm going to step back in these moments. And I got my moments too. I'm going to be doing some crazy shit or whatever.
And that's been huge for me as a bass player who came up playing like really tenacious stuff and just moving all over the fretboard, was to really step back objectively and say, yeah, by and large, though, bassists don't need to do that. And it's fun when you hear like a nice little bass solo, like you think of, moments where the bass stands out and is like, oh, that's cool, but you don't need to be Geddy Lee or Les Claypool all the time.
Well, but unless you're Geddy Lee or Les Claypool, it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But these days, it's so hard to chase after a standard like that because now there's like that quality of musician is everywhere. Like that's every progressive metal band out there on the stage.
Kind of, but there's an originality factor. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's totally different because now you're coming from it from a creativity angle versus like like a craftsmanship angle, right?
Yeah.
Like those are totally different things. And I've been working at my music more from like songwriting than like my skill ceiling because my skill ceiling is nice and I like it where I'm at, but I can't get lost in comparing it to other people and trying to write like other people.
You can never do that.
If I was gonna say like tomorrow, I really like that new Polyphia album. I want to do that, like, but it's gonna take me like 10 years of mastering my craft to be that good at an instrument.
Which you're not going to do.
And I'm not gonna make that time, and it's not gonna happen.
Just dudes that are like virtuosos.
Well, plus,
I've never cared about that. In case you haven't listened to anything I've ever done, it's always been like the stupid, simple, repeating thing over and over and over.
Well, yeah, but bad habits are hard to fucking beat. And what we've been talking about, it's just like we've had this thing ingrained in our head, some weird ego, some weird look at me, some weird, and it is. I'll be the first to admit it. There's a lot of oh, look what I can do. I'm playing for musicians. We've done that for so long. It's hard to look at it like that where it's like it ain't even about that.
Jay and I didn't come from we didn't come from musical upbringing necessarily. Like Jay's dad played guitar, yes, but we didn't like join band and we didn't get a formal education. And therefore like Jay and I kind of learned like just by the seat of our pants alongside learning our high school curriculum, right? So we're just like learning on our own. Like we're not taking a band class. Nobody's formulating music theory for us. We're just kind of like learning to play these instruments like as you would go home and play video games, right?
Guess what book? Guess what tab book, bro? Megadeth.
Several of those.
I was playing Metallica. I
started with Metallica.
I didn't have the books. I would go home and I learned them all by ear. And I would just go home. And
because you had a formal education.
Nah, dude, I was a drummer, bro.
Bullshit.
I don't. Nah.
The dominant Fruitport band education, baby.
I'm just awesome.
True that. You are awesome.
You are.
I'm kidding, but I would just go. I just had a basic understanding of this is how power chords work, and this is how all of this is composed. And I'm sure probably now, if I looked at what I was doing then, playing along to fucking Injustice for All, half of it was probably wrong, but it was also like the best ear training of just like, I know that he's just chugging these power chords, like,
right.
It's not magic.
And it's all in the notes that sound good together. They're not playing dissonant, weird fucking seventh or nothing.
But
it's literally power chords.
Couple fourths, mostly power chords. Yep.
But being a drummer, I mean, it's all about me is the rhythm, and that's why I'm good at playing rhythm guitars. It's like it's more about being like tight, and it's about your right hand.
Yeah, and you know the importance of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Got one thing, it's a strong right hand.
Yeah, for real.
You are a little bulky on that right bicep. I can see you flexing it. No, I mean you're
you right-handed?
Yeah, he's also you're also a great lead guitarist though, Ross. And I don't know, like, you were a drummer, but having played with you, like just knowing like your command of melody and your guitar musicianship extends beyond just playing rhythm. Like you can sing over the top of it. I know you probably get behind the kit and write all of those fucking drum beats. And then,
well, thank you for saying that, but it's a part of what the secret weapon was a little bit there was that knowing what I wanted the drums to do under the guitar or vice versa and be able to actually execute that.
Yeah.
And I've tried to explain that to people and I've done it in a bad way where it came off fucking really egotistical. And I was just trying to explain it's just because I know what I wanted it to be and could then do it.
Yeah, because if you were you were writing the riff, you already knew what you wanted to do on drums. So as soon as you got on drums, you already knew the guitar riff. So it's like literally interchangeable.
Yeah, exactly.
But you had the skill level at that time to know you put in the hours to be able to do what you wanted to do to play them drums that you heard over that riff you made up and shit. And that's fucking badass.
If you're in a band with somebody, you want to be in a band with somebody that's that driven. Not only do they know their part, they fucking know your part too. And I'm fine with that. I actually have always loved that because like if Jay shows me something, it'll already be intricate and complicated enough. So I can break that down in many ways. But if he was like, but for real though, like what I already hear you doing here is just like a really steady behind me rhythm, nothing complicated at all. Don't need you to follow me here. I'll be like, cool.
Yeah.
I'll step up later.
Yeah.
Let me know when I get to shine. And that's fine with me because you really just want to like move forward. If it doesn't sound good, you can be like, hey man, I like tried what you're saying, but even me being
your own
me,
idea or something. Yeah, sure.
me being me, like, what do you think if I bring this to you, like based on like keeping it simple, like as you're saying, like hypothetically, but also like just put a little bit more me on it. Would that be cool with you? Be like, yeah, yes or no. And mostly with Jay and I, it's been like there's always been that kind of collaborative or collaborative spirit between like how we write songs. Like, if Jay brings 90% of the stuff to the table, he gives me freelance on a lot of bass. But if he says to me like, here, I need you to have this part simple, or here, I want you to like stand out. Like this part moves to you. Like that's nice to know that somebody has that direction already. Like that gives me confidence in the song.
Yeah.
Like not only have they thought out their part, they've thought out 5 other parts too, just to make sure that their vision comes true.
And that's one thing as a producer, and that's one thing I was alluding to earlier of like recording the bass at different times and like the strategies, like knowing what I know now of like how to get a good tight mix and have that balance low end and all that, and you're just muddying shit up and like you're trying to prove something by like playing all these bass notes, but you're not really doing anything, you know what I'm saying, but muddying up the mix. So knowing that, I'd probably be a little more thinking about the bass parts even more. I'm good, buddy, thank you.
Having said that, though, I mean, I know I'm a little extra in my playing, and that's just because of like where we come from. Like we can't help ourselves.
It's hard
we
to put
come
that
from
down,
We come from like the middle of like, or so peak Megadeth, peak Metallica, Death, Carcass, Morbid Angel. Like we're just coming from such like a tenacious musical standpoint. So for us to like take as many steps back as we can in that genre of music and say like, yeah, but and just write good music is also a challenge in and of itself. Like, I thought we did that. We did that pretty well. Like we were like, yeah, we don't need to like overcomplicate it. And do like all of this extra musicianship. We can still write like this mood of music and have enough going on for it to also be entertaining, because it was hard to like remember some of that stuff and lay it down in the studio. It was like, oh my god, we were so extra, and even still then trying to tame it. Like, but in terms
Jay,
of muddying,
do you think your
out, less is more.
Do you think your work in hip hop was part of that, like influenced part of that, of trying to like, how you're dealing with bass and shit like that, trying to like, you brought that into it, because it's just,
I think it's just being a producer, bro.
That
Like,
being
and
his
actually
ear.
thinking about being a producer, and like also had working with a lot of artists and just knowing they don't even really know how to write a song. So like working with people, like hey man, no, you got to chop this to like 16. It can't be 68 fucking bars, bro. You just
unless
you
the
just
bars
mumble
are
it.
fire.
It's like, bro, that's not even how this beat works, bro. Like you just mumbling the same shit, so you got it's like you got to write a fucking song. You know what I mean? So then you kind of just be like, you got to put the ego down and be like, yeah, I don't need 8 parts or 9 parts or whatever. It's just like, man, fucking verse, chorus, that's what makes a good song. You know what I mean? The chorus makes the song. The verse is there just to kind of support the chorus, and then like you got a little pre-chorus, and then with metal you might add a guitar solo or a little fucking something extra. But it definitely does help to think about it that way. And then like at the end of the day, as a mixing it at the end, you know what I mean? Like, as I was saying with the bass, like you want it to be easy to mix. You don't want to have all this extra shit going on
And
that
Jay's,
you don't need
he's
to
always
go,
given me free reign. Like he's never once said like, hey, less is more. That's always been like my discovery in realizing like it doesn't matter that I can just hack on the bass all day. It's been like playing it back and listening to it, and you're like, hey man, by the way, if you don't hit every single one of those notes exactly as you should, then the take is kind of fucked and we need to do it again. And it just means less is more. Like, and it's not even a matter of your set of skills in the musicianship department. It's just a matter of like, yeah, for the song's sake, like you're just going in overboard right here. You could do so much. Like instead of following the drums here, you could actually follow no one and just hold that note. Let it ring, baby. Because bass sounds so good when you just don't interrupt it. Instead of just like boom, 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 boom. It's much better to boom, boom.
Well, that's
like
also,
everybody likes that so much more when you're listening to it, and it makes more sense listening to it than all that bass whooping in your speakers and in your ears, and like realizing that in a band that makes intense extreme music is a hard thing to come to terms with, because you want to stand out and be flashy at times, but you just can't keep up with the guitars doing what they're doing. You really need to hold down another shelf and stay there and be cool with it. And not everything is like, a showmanship of the bass, even if you can bring that, like. And I love to bring it. There's times when, we made times for me to stand out. We wrote songs and said, all right, this part we want like bass taps here. We're just going to go on ad nauseum. You do your thing, and then we'll bring it back around to the next thing. Great. Love it. But lately, like that hasn't been the case. We looked at bass a lot of different ways, and we probably could have even simplified it more. I simplified it for the sake of vocals. In the first place, I was like, well, let's just like write bass lines that I can sing over the top of, which was a huge thing. Like, let's like be able to come to practice, hear vocals and bass at the same time. Otherwise, what are we doing? Like, so that was, that's fine. Like, yeah, I'm still working on that. I haven't been able to sing over it. No, figure it out. Like, play it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do here? Yeah. And then once you're locked into what you're going to do here musically, okay, you good? We'd like to move on. Can we hear some vocals now? Right. Throw a James Hetfield, fucking rage at your producer. No, you want to hear the vocals? You fucking sing the vocals. Fuck you, Jason.
Do you think that because I really love that you're discovering that about your playing or about production, and that's where you're pointing your bass playing and everything. Do you think that some of that is because too of some of these like the cover band that you're doing and whatever, like playing these like songs, is that like you discovering playing outside of the death metal? Is that you bringing that? I don't know. You get what I'm saying? Bringing that into what you're doing here.
I want to say that notion extends to before playing in Chocolate Starfish in the hot dog flavored water, baby. Like that. Like the bass playing that I do on the Infinite Design album does precede that project, but the outlook is still yes, like to that, like trying to sound more like bass players that I can hear and understand, instead of trying to sound like, look what I can do, like look how good I am. But it would extend to like say maybe my cover band Eighth in Amsterdam, learning a lot of.
That's what I meant. I didn't even mean just a Limp Bizkit thing. I meant your whole career of playing in cover bands.
Absolutely.
You didn't mean plug your band, motherfucker.
But I will, and I'm not ashamed of that. Yeah, we've got dates. Look forward to us. No, but going back to the cover songs, yes, like absolutely learning simpler bass lines for songs like a Van Halen, where Eddie Van Halen shreds, and Michael Anthony is no slouch, but if we're being real,
one note.
If we're being real, he really does hold it down in the low E all day. And it sounds fine because Eddie shreds, and there's no need for Michael Anthony to always shred, but he can when his moment comes. And that's kind of important as a bassist, is just to kind of like make everything sound good and whole the whole time, as it should. Like just hold it, like make it sound as it should. Stop.
Full. It needs to be full.
And then stop when you're supposed to. Like you're not here. Yeah. Quit muddying up the sound. This is not a bass line part. Yeah. This is other instruments, dazzling melody, and then we come back to you when the drums come back or what have you. So it's really like low end. You really start to learn your role of your instrument way outside of like how good you are at playing it, and then you start to heavily implement that into your songwriting, and then say, my part doesn't do much here at all. It just follows root notes, like pretty basically, and then my moment to shine is basically when I get to shred the rhythm next, and I really like that part. And then some of the fills that I have going in and out of that part are like, like the parts that I'm looking forward to in terms of standing out and showing off, like just being there when it's time to show up. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing mostly simple parts and then stand out moment and then move on to playing simple parts because it just sounds better for the song. It's not about me. It's about the song. And that's a hard thing to take on when everybody's kind of like, look at me the whole time. But
is that what you do when you play bass? Just kind of rock the rhythm and like do the standout parts when you want it to stand out, or
well, again, it depends on the production. But what I'm doing now, it's very simple. Like the guitar, the heavy rhythm guitars and the bass are almost like an afterthought to what I'm doing now, and so it is very simple bass.
With Josh,
but it holds
though,
it down.
I mean, Josh, like Who would write the bass lines between you and your brother?
He'd write his bass lines.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
or if we wanted to double the riff or whatever, we'd just play the same riff.
And what I loved about listening to your guys' bass lines is that was something that I'd aspire to. Josh and I would go back and forth and compliment each other on like our styles, and I'd be like, "But yeah, bro, but you compliment the music so much better. Like you find pockets that fit bass." That tie the melody to the drums so nicely because he's coming from that drummer standpoint too, right? Like both you guys are
important as fuck.
And like so
that was
he
his
could
whole thing.
he could simplify the bass line and also just like tie in with you.
Yeah,
because he wouldn't be super flashy, but he would pull off something legato or
the exact opposite of everything you've been talking about, which is almost zero flash and just just laying down.
But I love it.
Parts.
I love it because you listen to it and he can stand out in his moments, and he's got a little bit of flash.
Oh, we'd have parts that were bass melody. I mean, it was all.
I loved it
for a reason.
I mean, I'm obviously a huge fan. I mean, just getting a chance to even play those bass lines and like just appreciating them for what they were. It's like it was fun to like look at music is like so much differently than what I was used to because he would approach a bass line. And like, God, it was like the first track on your first album. What helped me out here? The song about them, like medicine and welfare or like healthcare.
Yeah.
Like the bass line on that had some like Spanish kind of like feel to it, man. And I just couldn't gel with it for the longest time. I was like, man, I really I need to sit down and woodshed the fuck out of this because it feels so different from the guitar rhythm.
He was just all about feeling that rhythm, and it was way less about the notes. It's all about the rhythm.
Yeah, and I was just like, I can't believe how actually how hard it is to learn because I'm just like I'm hearing the drums. And the rhythm of the guitars is going, and he's doing something else over that.
He had the challenge too of having to come in like after the fact, essentially, and try to figure out shit to do because it was like, here's all the rhythm guitars and the drums and a vocal or whatever. Like this is a song written with no bass, so
right?
Like he had to
But that's a great way.
To
that's a great way to come in and find out where the bass fits because sometimes you're like, if he were to follow you on that. That might not be a very good bass line.
Yeah, and he was
but
super
for him
good
to
at
like
figuring that out.
To write something that is just like, here's what your key is, and that's more of a musical theory understanding, and then just breaking it down to a very rudimentary element on his end and grooving it out totally different. Like he's not locked in with the drums, he's not locked in with the guitars.
Sometimes, but it is
like some of those parts,
drums, yeah. Even when it's not, it is.
Well, yeah, he's probably got his accents on it, but he's not following them step for step.
But he knew what he was doing because he knows exactly what's happening in the drums.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is that's the same thing with the rhythm guitar. When you know exactly what's happening in the drums, you can make those things connect
like fit
on your own.
It's
going to be a fill here. This is the
right.
Hey, I want to change topic a little bit. I know we've been talking about music. You were saying your podcast. No, you come out with this every week. Do one every week or
every
just
Friday,
one
so
every week?
Friday, every Friday. Yeah.
So now you've been kicking for a little bit, right?
This is
It's like 16.
16?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What was I on? Like 5?
Like 2, bro.
2?
Like 2 or 3 or something.
Damn,
you
big
said in the beginning.
Yeah. OG over here, bro.
You were like you were for real, like
He's
one
back.
of the first guys I wanted.
And it was so bad they muted my shit, bro.
and they let you come back to hijack my show.
I had just I got this thing all since I set up a whole new bunch of shit, and that's what fucking I'm rocking this fucking warm audio preamp right here.
Oh,
for
nice,
this guy.
dope.
Yeah. So that's what happened was I was fucking with shit and patching in new gear and shit.
Oh yeah, I get it though. It is whatever. No, I like hanging out. No, it's cool. It's I just wanted to know about the podcast because you said you was booked all the way out till January now, huh?
Yeah,
more or less.
less,
You're just kind of just booking it ahead and doing it every week.
Trying to. Yeah. Getting people to come out is it's fun, man. We're having a blast.
Yeah. So you just talk about whatever.
It's just this.
Yeah. We're just hanging out.
We're doing comedy mostly, It's just trying
that's
to be
kind of
funny.
what I thought.
It's a combination
air quotes comedy.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a combination of that and just obviously
Hanging out,
it's just talking about music. So it's kind of also like studio. It's like a studio podcast.
Okay,
but also
I got
just
it.
so it
that's
just
cool.
depends on who the guest is. So if it's you guys, we're going to talk about your new death metal record.
Right? Yeah.
If it's somebody else, we're going to talk about just
whatever.
what's on TV.
Yeah.
I have very
I get
minimal technical conversation I can hold. That's a short conversation you and I
we talk
working
a
on.
lot about movies on this podcast.
See,
and shit
yeah,
like
and
that, so.
So if you wanted to, have us back, I know. Look at us. I'm inviting myself back. If you wanted to have us back, we'll talk more about those samples in those movies and see if you can discern what they're from.
You need to bring some shit in we can listen to.
We will. We have to bring it finished. Though. We have to bring
come
it
back
finished.
when you get some. When you get some time, you get open or get some.
Please
guests
have
or
us back.
whatever.
This is like a lot of fun. So
You didn't want to wear the headphones either. How?
I'm fine with the headphones.
Now you're
I didn't want to
sold,
hear.
right?
I didn't want to hear my own voice much. I'm fine.
Well,
with
the
it.
problem is
And there's
like,
no latency. So like
you don't want to talk over other people though. That's why it's cool to have the headphones. It's like
Yeah.
I just like it. I don't know.
I have manners, so I don't talk over people. Sorry, what were you saying, Ross?
That's what all that you listen
Yeah,
back to this shit and you're
everybody
like, it's fine. But like when we started fucking around with it, we were like, headphones or no headphones is a bit of a debate, right? And we were fucking around and we put them on and we were like, ooh, yeah, it's nice.
You get in the zone. You're just kind of like in that little world. It's like, all right, it's go time.
it's only this conversation in your ears.
Yeah.
It's good to
Yeah.
know where you stand with everybody else too. Like you
Right.
want to be able to hear yourself at the same volume as everyone else.
Yeah. We were gonna fuck around in a different space too, and he was like, "No, you got to keep it in here. We're just gonna have to cram in."
Just be a tight. That's what be.
It's
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah.
It's a
It gets
little
hot
warm.
in here, I
But
know.
Yeah.
Especially with 4 people, dude.
Yeah.
All
I
this
dress for
gear's
winter
running.
immediately after summer. Like, okay, winter's here as soon as summer's over. So I go to layers. I'm in long johns through and through.
You're
and
in long johns
woolly
right now.
fucking socks.
It's like
There's
70
socks-
degrees
well,
out.
There's
right now,
socks
bro.
under those
So-
socks.
I'm coming right in the middle of this conversation, right? Because like I do also wear long johns all the time. I think you got me onto that because I'm always fucking cold. But
I hate cold.
I also think that's a side effect of marijuana too, because
Ooh, really?
yeah, like that's one of the side effects is that like your body temperature decreases. So like I'm always cold all the time.
gotta
But I've
fuck the
also
circulation up
yeah,
over
I've
there.
also
Interesting.
noticed though, like when I go on like tolerance breaks or just don't smoke because I'm doing this out of the other thing, I'm like warm all the time.
Oh.
So it's like my body temperature does, and I like looked into it, and it was like a legit thing. I'm like, okay, that makes sense why I'm always cold, but you know what I'm saying? If I'm
Right.
smoking or whatever, you know.
But it's like 70
But-
out today.
Okay, so that's where I'm coming in the middle of this because that's definitely a check your phone fucking type shit. Because
I do.
It
I do.
is like
If
70
it's-
degrees and like
Is it 70? Because if it is not any more than 70, then
It's
fuck
not.
everything. I wear long johns if it's below 70. It says it's 65 right now where I live. Fuck everything.
68.
That's long johns.
68.
I don't care, bro. That's long johns. I fucking yes.
Come
fucking
on, man.
for real. No, for real.
Motherfuckers tan
Look at you.
at
For real.
68,
No,
dog.
God
Breaking out
damn
those
it.
Johns really
Yeah,
early
man.
in the season,
You
bro.
look like
That's
an
why I'm worried
underkeeper
because
for
I'm
sure.
worried for winter because I'm already into them.
Look at this
How
guy.
much more can I fucking wear? I hate cold so much.
You gotta brace yourself.
So-
You gotta ease into the long johns.
No,
you gotta
the
let your
long
body
johns are here to
fucking
stay.
react
No,
the next
because I'm
couple months.
not sweating and I'm not uncomfortable.
Well,
if
well-
anything, I'm mildly warm and I like warmth. That's fine. Let me tell you, warmth. I mean, maybe a
I
little
like warm.
moisture, but I'm not gonna
I
go
like
there.
warm. Easy.
I like warm. I do.
It's 85
But
degrees
What you
in the
do
studio,
is
you
you
gotta
just bring
Patagonia
more
fucking
layers
down
to
there.
shed. So I bring a hoodie and a coat. And of course the gloves and the
Makes
hat and the
sense.
scarf, and I staple them all to my fucking skin because otherwise you lose them. all of it. I fucking wear. Oh yeah, dude, bro. I will wear motherfucking goggles in the winter. I hate cold so bad. I don't want cold air to touch my eyelids, my fucking blinkers, my fucking pupils. None of it. A snowflake cannot touch me. I fucking hate cold. Dude, I have gone out just fucking wrapped up in everything. Plastic, just I hate cold.
He's
so
got
bad, like-
bread bags in his shoes.
Yes, all of it. I fucking hate cold with a passion. I just like it fucking annoys me to no end. I just like
Look at
That's
like
a tough
Frosty.
deal living in Michigan, brother.
well, yeah, I know, right?
Big
You
fan
think,
of
you think you've had
Cold,
this long to fucking get used to it, like grow up, and it's like, nope, hate it more every year. Fucking hate it more every year. It concerns me the level of hate that I have for it every year.
It does suck.
Like,
It
like
does
my dog
suck.
got to go outside. Well, fuck you. Don't run away. Goodbye. Like, oh, I'm not going out there. Like, you got a shit, dog? Go outside and shit. I'm not doing anything about it anymore. I fucking hate it. You got to piss? Go outside. You know where the food is. It's in here, right? You've seen the food dish. I'm like, run off and get hit by a car. That's you. I don't care. I'm fucking dead to the world. It's fucking winter. Winter is the worst season.
Winter is coming, bro.
But the thing is, winter is longer in Michigan. It starts in September and it goes until late May. I fucking hate winter in Michigan.
It's like, unwavering, unflinching, unending fucking.
Well, it goes to late April.
It is like
late April. And driving too is just like, you know, it's so anxiety inducing because you're like, oh, you know, like, oh, just fucking go and leave early. No, it's do or die out in this motherfucker. And some
that black ice, son, don't sleep on that black ice, brother.
Some people have vehicles that can do, and some people have vehicles that can die. and I drive a die vehicle, and I fucking hate it. Like
I'm out there in an '86 Geo cruising out here.
Yeah, you know, I don't have the vehicle to do winter. I hate driving across the street. I hate driving to work. I hate life for anytime snow is on the ground. Anytime ice is on the ground, I am the biggest fucking curmudgeon. I don't care what you have going on. It's good for you. Don't call me. You know, like I'm just so fucking grumpy for winter. No, it's cool. We can hang out. I'm not that bad, but I do hate like having to drive and dress up and go out in it. I fucking hate it. Like, man, if I have to do anything at all throughout a week, I try to do it all in one fucking day if it means leaving the house. I fucking hate winter so bad. More and more as I go. The more I like have to deal with it, the worse it gets. And the winters have probably been like more lenient lately. Like
supposed to be bad this year.
And I don't doubt it
Do
because
they
I'm
say
sitting
that
here.
every year?
They say that every fucking year, man.
It's like the Lions.
Anytime-
There's-
Oh, it really
is. It really is.
Well,
This year
we get
we're
dumped
fucked.
on like 2 or 3 times, and it's really about how long that shit sticks around. But I hate it. I just hate the cold and wet. I hate all of that. We live in a beautiful state. I wish it was summer all the time around here. And fuck the world. I hope it is. And even if that means the polar ice cap's melting, fucking hate winter. I never want to see
I'm
white.
why this is called the Dangerville podcast because
I'm a misanthrope like nobody's business.
Yeah,
Fucking hate everything.
He just
Dude, you went off to me one time about if the apocalypse came or something. It must have been right around COVID or something. You were going, we live in a fucking society. You were like, if we go, I'm going to be the first one to fucking die.
True. Why deny that?
And you're like, we live in a society, man. I don't know how to do any of that shit.
I don't. Yeah, why lie?
Number one.
Why lie? Like oh, hey guys, I'm gonna go out and hunt and live off the land suddenly during like the apocalypse. Like,
yeah.
I love the
You're
delusion.
not.
I love the
You're
delusion of
not.
it, man. Wow,
You're
you
not.
are probably gonna die first because you're gonna be out there hunting while I'm living on canned and bagged tuna. You know, like until I die.
Dude, when the
Like-
shit hits the fan, I'm going Tom Hanks Castaway style.
Dude,
I'm
I'm just-
spearing fucking
I'm
fish.
going under the
Coconuts and
staircase.
shit,
Like
dude.
I'm just hiding
I'm gonna
and
do workout,
starving
man.
myself as long as I can. And then I'm gonna crawl. Just crawl with my belly to the earth to just see if I can find a berry to eat. Like I'm I am not a hunter. I am not a gatherer. Like I will eat an acorn and just see how that sits. Like this might be scientific knowledge
He's
not
like-
to do. Like do not eat the acorn. It will kill you. I'll find out the hard way. Like to see what one does. Let's see if I can pass an acorn. I'm going, Ross, I'm fucking dead. I'm fucking dead. Like during the apocalypse, like it's not a matter of like if I die, it's a matter of when I die. And I'm so real about it. I'm like, it could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. 7 days. 7 whole ass long fucking days in the winter of Michigan with next to nothing in the pantry. Like, oops, didn't stock up for the apocalypse. Fucked. I got some rice and some hamburger and helper, no hamburger. Fucked. 7 whole ass days. Bread gets mold after like 3. a year. It could be like, I don't know. I got a lot of ramen.
7 days.
I got a lot of peanut butter.
You the nice thing is you'll be dead before like people start eating people, so at least you will be rotted and someone won't have to
If
eat
it
your
comes
body.
to that, like it,
Yeah, because if you're gone in a week, like some people will survive a lot longer than that.
I might.
So
put
your
a
whole
note up
shit,
front,
your whole
like,
shit would be bones by the time somebody gets hungry. So at least no one's gonna eat you. You know.
Yeah,
So that's a good thing about that part.
and I might bury myself alive too. Like fuck it, like right,
God,
like,
the angst you must have in the grocery store every day when you're looking at shit, you're just like, fuck, it could be the last day. How many cans of tuna do I grab? Fuck, dude.
See, I don't live like that though. I'm not trying to extend that week. I'm just
Let's just see what's on the grocery
like,
list.
keep it
Fuck
fresh.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it fresh. Like I don't want to take up pantry space with a bunch of cans of tuna. Like that's not how I'm living this life. Like if it goes to pot, if it goes sideways, like
Could any day too.
yeah,
know?
what are you gonna do? Like I love the ambition of people, just the sheer like just will to live. That like nope. I'm gonna fortress up. I got gold bars. I got silver bars. I'm like, for what?
Mine's just like
You were
What?
the other shit you were going off about, dude.
I've got a freedom farm. I grow my own produce. I can and jar everything. I'm gonna last for winters. Yeah, until they smoke you out.
You were going
And kill you.
Listen, you were going. I
love it. I
all
love
my
it.
friends got their bug out bag. They're all like, "You got your bug out bag?" You're like, "I ain't got no fucking bug out bag. The fuck's a bug out bag?"
What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? I love it. I love the like let's prepare. Like you have kids. I'm like, I know they're gonna die. If that shit happens, they're gonna die too, or go into some weird ass camp, and I'll be dead. And at that point, I cease to have the capacity to fucking care because I'm dead. So whatever happens after that, I cannot control. And I love the discernment between what I can control and what I can't control. And I can't control a lot of things. Like I can't control a lot. So if that shit happens, I'm like, well, fuck. The whole time in school, they were telling me, go to school, get an education, get a career, make money, bank it, live. I'm not prepared for the Armageddon. I'm not prepared to hunt to survive and plant and grow a freedom farm. And even if I was, it doesn't matter. You're fucking done. You're napalm food. Like you're fucking,
God, dude.
you're scorched earth ashes. Like you're not. Like
I'm glad
just,
you had all them fucking jars canned when you
Dude, I'm
get
like-
smoked by radiation.
I'll tell my kid, keep playing your video games, and when the internet goes down, then go downstairs and put toys, and then what
Once the toys start melting.
like,
see you
well, like,
later.
what am I expected to do? Like put the child over my shoulder and run into the woods and just like build a fucking fort? Like what am I? I love it. So I'm like more like, you know what? Let's all just sit here cross-legged and meditate and see what they do when we get here. Maybe they'll let us like farm somewhere. Who knows? Or put one right between the eyes, and then it's good night. It's fine. Hey, if you do that, it's good night. It was nice knowing you. Like, what do you do?
It is what it is. Yeah.
I just hate getting caught up in the fear of things like that. Like I'm
You
gonna
can't.
I'm gonna let that run my life and like take up my time and energy, and to what end? Like it becomes this whole like neurosis that I just don't want to have to deal with. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe there's a whole lot of people that are so invested in this, and they probably got it mapped out to communities that they're gonna get to and make it to, and they're gonna go out to all these Zions across the land where they're gonna meet up and live in the forest. No, you're not. We went like all of that shit. If
What is going on right now, bro? Jesus Christ.
we're having a podcast.
Yeah, at first, like,
I
I
love
was
it.
with you. Then all of a
The
sudden,
Armageddon.
we
The
went-
Armageddon.
You're just talking about going to Burning Man right now.
Yeah, that's what it is.
all
That's
you're
what
talking
they
about,
all
dude.
think the apocalypse is going to Burning Man. They're like, hey,
Dude.
we're gonna get in the car, drive out to the
It's gonna
woods.
be awesome. We're
or
all
the
just gonna
beach.
haggle.
Yeah, we're gonna
It'll be
barter.
fine.
And,
We'll hunt elk.
yeah, we're barter and trade and grow from the
Hunt
earth.
elk.
Yeah, I heard elk's healthy. We'll get one of those.
Listen, we all listen to Joe Rogan here,
Yeah.
okay?
It's easy to get one.
No, I'm sorry. I think the pandemic brought out some real ugliness in ways that like was like unhealthy, and it was like, oh my god, like I don't have the energy for a lot of this shit. I don't. I would rather live like just okay, I tried to do my thing. I'm sorry I didn't set out to save the world or be prepared for the apocalypse, man. Like that's not me.
No, if it goes down, dude, it's over. I got
1 week.
I got nothing.
I'm saying like
If it
1
goes-
week.
if it
Whatever's in
goes
the
down
pantry.
Either way, like
That's my next band name. Whatever's in the pantry.
You know
Like-
what's funny? No, what's funny is like all the people that laughed at that Preppers show. But then, like, when that shit goes down and they got all them fortresses and all that food, and be like, oh, motherfucker.
Motherfuckers dropping the best
Guns
I told
and
you
shit.
so in the world.
Yeah.
2020.
Watch
Just
it.
going,
Yeah, watch it. I'll give
Laugh
them.
it up, motherfuckers.
I watch him eat a whole jar of tomatoes right in front of me and just drop it. Like,
Those people
Jar
gotta be
drop, bitch.
excited, man.
They are.
If the shit fucking goes down, they gotta just be like, yes, I
Yeah.
told you. They gotta
Yeah.
be like, yeah.
They'll live a little longer.
My time to shine, baby.
They have
I
more in the
told you,
pantry.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's got to be the biggest I told, like you said, dude. The biggest I told you so, man. Oh shit.
But yeah, what are you saying? I told you so to. Like, oh, I knew the world was gonna.
I know.
I knew the world was gonna end.
Anyway,
Yeah.
huh?
yeah, you're really rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Like,
Kind of a lose
motherfuckers.
situation in the
Yeah,
grand
yeah.
scheme, you know,
You
at
put
that
a
point,
lot
like-
in the basket when you put that out there. When motherfuckers come over, you got like just jars everywhere. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm ready for the end. I'm
you're
gonna
like,
last more than a week.
Oh, you're what? You that? Okay, you ready for the end? Huh?
I'm gonna last way more than a week. You see all these fucking jars
Jars?
around here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The fuck?
I'm built to last.
I got Chef Boyardee for days,
Yeah.
bro. I'm covered, man.
Yeah,
You
wait.
prepping? I can
Green
see you
beans
prepping.
and-
You probably got a whole fucking basement full of shit, dude.
Oh yeah, we're
More
talking
power to you.
Cans.
More power to you.
firearms and stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, load them up. Load them up. One of
Custer's
them.
last stand down there, dude.
Well, yeah, well, one of those might be your last meal.
Yeah.
Progresso soup as far as the eye can see, Joe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure you can stretch it out.
Chicken
Oh,
noodle game
dude.
strong.
Way
man.
longer than a week.
I would rather
All
take
ramen.
one to the dome than have to eat that
Nah, dude.
Well, I don't.
I'm raiding and marauding if it comes down to that. I'm
How-
going straight up old school Viking, dude.
How does one survive the ensuing diarrhea? Like that's
You're
a
like-
whole other.
man.
shit. You're like,
So
survive
there's no
Progresso.
healthcare. Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just.
Well, like
good.
Progresso is almost death after so long because it's just like straight up means to dehydrate yourself.
You probably just only have minestrone too, that weird ass kind with all that
Bro, I
weird
get that-
nuts
I
and
get
shit.
that.
French onion. It's
You don't
basically
even have,
brown
like, good
soup
shit,
in and
like-
out.
Yeah,
It's vegetable barley, goddammit. That's all I got. Vegetable barley. It's brutal.
Vegetable barley's the shit, dude.
Oh, man.
And a
Staggering
wine
lack
rack.
of protein come the apocalypse. It's
I
gonna be
just,
tragic.
I'm not a soup kind of guy, you know.
Oh, big soup guy.
I don't
Soup's
like
way a lot.
You
You
like
can't.
soup?
You can't
Oh,
go on the
really?
road with them.
Yeah. In the
I
fall,
don't
dude, you
like
get that
soup in
fall
the winter,
soup back,
dude.
some chili.
You got
I like
ditch the
chili.
long johns up your soup game. Dude.
I
Yeah,
like
dude.
Get
chili.
that core
Nah.
temperature up. Boost that
Oh,
core
yeah.
temperature a little bit.
Like, let me just
Wearing
drink
long
this
johns,
liquid with
70-degree
some chunks
weather.
in it.
Fuck's wrong with you?
Oh, love it, dude.
I don't like soup.
I like soup, but I definitely need a really, really hearty soup. It's got to be thick as
That's
that
a
ass.
stew then.
Okay,
right?
fine then.
Right.
Fine,
Stew,
fine.
it's all in the
Then I
same
don't
family.
like soup. I like stew. Thanks.
It's gotta
Moving
be
on.
chunky. No
I-
bisque, dude. I don't
Yeah.
get people out of the bisque.
No, I'll
Don't
even-
sleep on the bisque.
broth,
Don't sleep
dude.
on the
What?
bisque,
There's
dude.
nothing in it.
A little
Okay.
crab
The
bisque.
fuck is in
Little
it? There's
crab
nothing in
bisque,
it.
boys.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Bisque.
Crab
Bisque?
bisque. Talking
That's
about
just tomato
bisque.
soup.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
man.
It's
That's what I'm
just- it's
saying.
just
It's
soup.
basically it's fucking tomato soup with
Never
like
heard
some
of it.
bisque.
fucking.
Nah,
quick.
You're getting some bunk ass.
There's no chunks, man. I need some chunks.
Gotta step
You
your
need
bisque
to
game
have
up.
you need to have
Bisque is
something in
terrible
it. It's not
bullshit.
even soup. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it's not
man.
even soup. It doesn't have something
I'm
in
not
it.
sipping my soup out of my cup.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
I want a fucking hearty bowl of chili.
Yeah, I
want
want-
something that's gonna make me shit for 2 days.
It needs beans and meat and
Yeah.
like
Now
like
you're talking
noodles.
up my alley. I'm just talking about like if
Yeah.
you have that
Talking
just
some stroganoff
just,
here, son.
like
Little,
some shit like with a bunch of broth and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
it
fuck
needs
with that.
it
I
needs
like
to
a
have
chicken
something
noodle.
in it.
I'm
Yeah.
a big chicken noodle, but I
I
make
can
a,
do
I
a
make a
chicken
chunky
noodle.
chicken noodle, man. My chicken noodle's
And-
on point, fellas. Trust me.
Homemade.
It's on oh, bro.
That's different.
I got some dope
Yeah, I
fucking
just-
chicken
I
noodle,
just made
and
one.
I got a clam chowder that'll fucking knock you.
I
side
like
to
that.
side.
I wouldn't. I
Like a
haven't been
clam
able to
chowder.
fuck with a clam chowder. My wife's not into that, but I
Bro.
just made her a chicken noodle soup yesterday.
Bro.
A chowder's
You had
basically a
mine.
bisque. You're
You had
ripping on
mine.
some bisque and you fucking.
Yeah,
It's got stuff in
Chowder's
it.
got a bunch. Chowder's
got chow- what
bisque
is
also
it?
has stuff in it. You
They
talking
know
crab
chunks
bisque?
and
No.
bisque, dude.
Bisque is just that thicker, more viscous, fucking delicious soup.
Ain't
bro.
no chunks,
No.
bro.
Oh, there's chunks.
No chunks.
There's
man. I
chunks.
never
There's
seen no
chunks.
chunks. This is fucking.
Crab bisque, baby.
It's a thick broth, but it's fucking
Some
ground down.
crab
dude.
bisque, dude.
That's
I'll get you
almost a
bisque that'll
cream.
Blow your mind,
That's
son.
almost
Yeah,
neither.
it's
That's
like
almost a cream.
dude. That's
What
like
you're
what a
talking
bisque
about
is
is not even like a soup because that's just
Feels like
like
you're
Now
a
I'm-
potato
Now
situation.
I'm hungry as fuck.
Ah. It's a good
That's
time
a bisque.
Is that a good time to plug my restaurant that I work at?
I don't know. He's plugging everything. He's like, can I plug my OnlyFans? Can I plug my...
Hey.
Can you plug my mom's email address? She's a personal trainer.
So
my grandma knits stuff too.
If I had an OnlyFans, I wouldn't plug it. Which isn't to say that
would.
I wouldn't plug it here because I have great delusions of it being anonymous. Like, I don't want any of my friends to know that I fuck on a camera, but
Nobody's on your OnlyFans,
for money.
dude.
For money, exactly. That's why I wouldn't plug it. I wouldn't plug
Nobody
my
wants to
OnlyFans.
see your tiny penis.
Oh, bro, stop! Just stop.
It's just a video of you jerking off to you in a mirror.
Hey, if it were that easy to make good money, then I have been doing all the wrong things. Like if somebody were to pay me to jerk off in front of a mirror,
I mean, right?
I'd make the time. I'd make the time.
I'd be a millionaire.
Hey, I don't knock anybody's hustle, bro. I don't. Fucking corduroy cowboy over here, the motherfucker.
Corduroy cowboy.
At OnlyFans, corduroy cowboy.
Oh,
Yeah, dude,
man.
you gotta do it.
It's gold, dude. It's gold.
The Corduroy Cowboy station's blowing up, Jimmy.
All right, fellas. I think we probably ought to wrap it up. I'm fucked up. You look pretty fucked up as well, man.
I was fucked up when I got here. In fact, I
Same. We don't even start until we're 2 drinks.
I'll
in.
probably just stay fucked up forever. So
Hey, appreciate it, man.
thanks for having
man.
me out.
That's
It's
fun.
fun.
Appreciate it.
So we don't know when the record's
Brother.
coming out yet, right? We
Nope.
don't know. We got no date.
Early around
2023,
next year.
yeah,
early
working on it.
2023. We just want to make sure it's correct. We want to get some art out around it. We're gonna do probably a little documentary. We want to just put it out right. Like we don't want to just be like, here's an album and we drop it.
We
Friday,
got the holidays
you know?
coming up too, so
Yeah.
there's always that to consider. Like no bullshit. Every time October creeps around and starts rearing its head, you just ought to know that holidays take up more of your time than you actually thought they would. So
Yeah, sure.
especially having family, it's just like, I got to make all this time and all this effort and energy into these things. So yeah, like I'll just give Jay again more time to like wrap up.
I got to
any
get it
mastering.
mastered. So.
Yeah, any mastering
do you
or
got
any last
dates
things?
on your on the chocolate starfish coming up? Then
I don't know specifically that there are any release dates. I know that we have 2 on the books, and that's all I'm going to speak to is that we'll probably play, I think, I mean, as far as I know, December and March. I'll just say that. But I don't know that anything's been promoted.
keep our
so I'll
ears
keep
open for that shit. Anything going on with you? You've been dropping a bunch of shit. You got any more fucking fire beats coming out and shit we need to know about?
Yeah, man, I'm actually working on a lot of stuff right now, really updating a lot of beats, coming out with a lot of stuff, working with some artists, and yeah, I got a bunch of albums dropped. This D-Have album just dropped, and I'm really proud of that. There's some
Nice.
boppers on there. So,
What is it? Where do we get that?
Everywhere on all streaming platforms.
D-Have?
D-Have. D-H-A-V-E.
Type.
D-Have. It's called Trapped in the Sandbox Volume 1, so that was
Ooh.
something recent I just
I like
dropped.
that title.
He's very creative with it too, like with his raps and the way he approaches melodies and stuff. And we kind of sat there, and his approach is a little different, where a lot of people will come in and they'll have something down. We'll just come in and create something organically. He kind of likes to rock like that. But yeah, that's all saying that. But D-Have was something we just dropped, and I got a couple things coming out, but I won't speak on it until it's really all in existence. I got like
Sweet.
2 albums on the shelf, and then obviously check out the Iron Sharpen Iron thing if you guys are listening, just because that album did drop.
What's
I'm
that
pretty
album
proud of
called?
that. The Aftermath of Tragedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so that's a ton of shit, man. So fucking
We got a lot going on.
Ears fucking open for all that shit, dude. Talking about chocolate starfish, man.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. I didn't have to think too hard on it when they offered it to me. I was like, that's gonna be a guilty pleasure check, and also those bass lines are super slick, and that was a huge growth for me, Ross. Just while we're on the subject, like
what I was saying.
learning to play those songs galloping and putting in the effort to make it sound like more their like that style, and like dropping the ego. Like I was doing parts, I was like, well, I can do it this way because it looks flashy, but then I realized, like, to do the song justice, maybe just simplify like how I play it, just to make it sound good.
Well, we know you got a crush on Fred Durst too. It's okay.
That backwards hat
We've
with
all
the little
known that,
tiny
I
little,
get it. I get
the
it.
little goat
That little
strip.
flavor
Yeah.
saver.
He did
down
bang
there.
Christina Aguilera, right, or whatever. It's like-
Jealous. Damn.
So keep your eyes open for that.
appreciate
Keep your
it.
eyes open
Appreciate
for the
it,
new
Ross.
Infinite Design.
Yes,
Yep.
good times.
Hell yeah. Thank you
Thanks,
guys
bro.
for coming out. We'll get you
Yeah.
back on.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Peace, y'all.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.